is me, because none of you got it. This is from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which makes Noah the winner. Yay!
Wow.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has so many pop culture references in it that they actually have to change it for copyright reasons when it comes to America. So while the character's name is Green Day, in America they're called Green Tea.
Oh,
Spice Girl in America is called Spicy Lady.
Is Melody Peachy little baby
That's
bitch is real?
That's real. All these are real. But y'all, this was so much fun. Thanks for joining. No way!
Yay! Wow. Very fun, very fun.
So
I learned a lot.
Did you? Based on all the synopsises today and all the stuff you've heard, would you be more down to check out an anime itself?
Actually, yes, absolutely.
Hells yeah, that's awesome.
I'm excited to start watching an anime that's like maybe 1,500 episodes long, where a plot gets drawn out over the entire thing. Yes, One Piece.
Noah, how you feeling? You're the victor.
Dude, I feel great. I'm happy in the end. You know, you came in with that Dragon Ball Z question.
Yeah.
That helped me. That's what I needed, because Dragon Ball Z I watched. I got
great.
that one.
Well, this is an anime story. You started out saying, like, Damien, is this going to be hard? Like, I'm not going to know anything. And you pushed through with the power of friendship, and you did it.
Ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching at home from around the world.
Yes, I'm here in Cologne for the finals of Intel Extreme.
Hello and welcome to another episode of G-Force Crash Course.
He's the first cleanly has. Nexus is next. G2, they can't let it slip. Oh no. They're letting it slip. Okay, Hunter and Nico will collect.
Okay, so can you get started on putting fries in the fryer?
Oh, sure thing. Chicken or regular kind?
Regular.
Sweet. Styrofoam it is.
Every Burger King ever.
Hey, welcome to BK, where you can have it your way.
Really? My way? Okay, cool. In that case, I'll take my Whopper, but add mushrooms on it.
Oh, we don't have mushrooms.
Really? No mushrooms. Could I get my Whopper as a lettuce wrap?
No.
Could I get my Whopper as a chili cheeseburger?
No.
Okay, fine. What can I get, ma'am?
Well, you can get anything on the menu exactly as written, but no changes.
Fine. I'll take a Bacon King.
Oh, we're out of bacon.
Your Grace, the chicken fries have fallen. I figured they would.
Ugh. Yo, why is this table so sticky?
Oh yeah, we should definitely move tables.
Yo, I'm stuck.
Me too.
Me 3.
Whoa. How long you been down there?
I can't remember a time before I was stuck on this floor. Hey, did you guys get a cup of water? You think you could pour some into my mouth?
We don't have any water. All we have are these chicken fries.
You think you could wring some of the grease from the chicken fries into my mouth?
Oh, sure.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's nice.
BK kids, it's in the game.
Hey, babe. I know fast food is your guilty pleasure and everything, so I figured for your birthday, I'd get you a Burger King gift card.
So, you're breaking up with me?
What? I guess so. Huh.
I found a sesame seed on my burger and I demand to know who's responsible.
All right, King. Have you decided what you want for your last meal?
Yeah. Can I get a Big Mac?
What? The King wants McDonald's for his last meal?
Keep it down, man.
But you're the Burger King. Don't you want like a Whopper or something?
No, I want to enjoy my last meal.
I definitely understand that. All right, 1 Big Mac.
Oh, can I also get one of those Jack in the Box tacos?
I'm sorry, they only come in 2s.
Oh, that'd be great. I'll have both. Okay. Sick. Yes. But what about a Burger Queen?
Do you have a place my grandchildren can play at like at McDonald's?
As a matter of fact, we do. If you go out that front door, you'll find an empty parking lot. It's better than any play place because you get to use your imagination.
But what if it's not empty?
Oh, it's literally always empty.
Hi, I'd like a Frosty. Oh, God. Okay, sorry. Hi, I'd like a McFlurry. Oh, sorry. Hey, I'd like a Blizzard. Oh, sorry.
Oh my God, look at that! An onion ring in my fries. That's amazing. He's like a little onion treasure. Oh, gross!
Yes! No!
Hi, can you just kiss me tenderly? Chicken tenderly.
Oh, do you want to try some chicken fries?
No, thank you. The long pieces of chicken kind of creep me out.
Oh, I got you. See, we still got chicken rings, chicken pies, and the chicken shake.
Do you guys sell any self-respect? Because I'm all out.
Me too.
Hi, you asked for a manager, also known as Burger Duke.
And this, rookie, is the Burger King machine.
Whoa. How does it work?
Oh, it's really simple. So you just take an item from another fast food chain, like this Big Mac from McDonald's, just pop it in, and out comes a slightly worse version. Whopper.
Whoa, that is so cool! What if I put the Whopper in there?
No!
Oh, God. 2 Whoppers?
Yep, because the only thing worse than 1 Whopper is 2 Whoppers.
Who are you looking at?
Oh no, I meant to do chicken.
Oh, crap.
Hold on.
Taylor just was like, what did you do? What did you do?
He still smells like him.
Just the entire menu at Long John Silver's.
Arby's.
Yeah, can I get some beef that's been sitting out for 20 years? I don't know what to do.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Oh, that's nice.
It's getting really weird out there.
How weird? Honey pie, honey pot.
Whatever. The booby game.
It's happening!
Gerard looks like a level 9,000 Discord mod.
Hell yeah, dude, let's go.
Oh my God, you killed Kirby!
Hella.
We're comfortable with our sucking.
Some say I've sucked my entire life.
We give next like a 5 out of 5. I hope you'll do better next time.
broke up. Me and Danny broke up.
Ew. Me and Danny broke up. Me and Danny broke up. Cute.
Every Insta story ever.
Social media is stupid. I don't care about any of the haters. I'm just going to do me. I don't need anyone's approval or validation. Peace.
Seen by only 34 people? Oh man. Wonder if any of my exes watched it.
Swipe up.
Swipe up.
Swipe
You should
up.
swipe it.
Swipe
it
up.
upwards.
Swipe
up.
up.
I got a link. Help me.
This is so dumb.
Oh God, another concert. Skip.
911, what's your emergency?
I need you to perform a welfare check on my friend Nikki.
And what's the reason for the welfare check?
Well, she hasn't posted an Instagram story in like 3 days. I'm just really worried.
A story?
Yes, an Instagram story. And before you ask, yes, she did post a picture yesterday, but it was like a latergram.
I have not understood a thing you said.
Oh my God, this is literally police brutality.
She said she's sick, but when I watched her story, she was totally at the club.
Achoo! Oh, my allergies are so bad. Whoa!
This is so dumb.
Oh my God, that dress is so cute. Oh, damn it. That's an ad, not a story.
Oh, are you serious? Wow, Brock, I'm so jealous. I really am. Oh, I'm having a great time too.
No. Oh, you think you're having a good night? Watch this.
Wow. Okay. You want to play hardball?
Oh, I see. You're trying to FOMO me, aren't you? No.
Damn it! Well played, Brock. Looks like it's time to bring in the big guns.
No!
watch me, yeah. Watch me, watch me, watch me, yeah. Watch me, watch me, watch me, yeah. Watch me, watch me, watch me, yeah. I'm slick with it, quick with it. I'll be dripping when I walk, don't slip.
23 hours later.
My next hit about to drop when it's finished. Labels blinging on my line, trying to talk business. I've been feeling.
Okay.
Hey, do you mind tagging me in that and then like tag me in the post and then like tag me in it so I can share it on my story and then like tag me again?
What's up, everybody? We got Chuck Withering like Camel Theft, number 5, all the way up here, number 1 in the business. Number 1. This is so dumb.
So, Cooper, what's going on here? Cooper? Cooper?
He won't answer you. Ever since he started watching Instagram stories, he's gone all lazy and boring. We used to have fun together.
Instagram stories. Not even once. Paid for by Snapchat. Remember Snapchat? We're still here.
My Discover is only cats.
Hey, it's your boy Bryce, and I'm here with some daily inspiration. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Oh my god. We should go help him.
I don't know. That was posted an hour ago.
Oh, damn.
Yep.
Do you think it made him stronger?
No.
Oh my god! This is literally police brutality.
Police morality.
This isn't even alcohol.
Oh, rad, honey. Oh, tight.
Hold on, I'm just confused here. Sorry, what's your name again? What's your name, young lady? What's your name? Help me help you. Well, are you laughing? This is a joke. You let me know right now. Are you laughing?
Oh, hell yeah. I'd bang me.
Today on X-Play, we get the straight schleam about High on Life, the new game from Justin Roiland and Squanch Games. Humans are just drugs for aliens, and your gun is a nervous wreck. Plus, we ask the question, why was there never a sequel to the Marvel Nemesis fighting game? And who let this man teach a class? I really hope these credits are transferable. It's game time!
Hello and welcome to X-Play.
As the resident shooter guy, there's some things that every shooter game needs.
Tight gameplay.
Inventive action sequences.
And guns that talk to you.
What, Frost? No.
Yeah, like when you're trying to shoot the enemies, your gun is talking trash and looking at you with googly eyes.
Is this a fever dream you had?
Yeah, a fever dream I had with my eyes open when I was watching the Bethesda showcase.
High on Life is the new title from Squanch Games.
Which, if you've ever squanched an episode of Rick and Morty, it's safe to squanch that the mad genius Justin Roiland is involved.
We caught up with him and got more than we bargained for.
Squanch it out.
One of the most exciting and wonderful announcements to come out of the Xbox Bethesda game showcase was Squanch Games' High on Life. It's a hilarious take on the FPS genre where you find yourself thrusted into the role of a bounty hunter armed with charismatic talking guns and tasked with busting the alien cartel that gets high off of humans. I feel like introducing you, I don't need to because everyone already knows you, but Justin Roiland, the legend.
The guy who's doing too many things right now. Yeah, so the game pitch, you know, humanity, you know, we live on this planet, everybody's, you know, we're all in shit right now, everything, all kinds of conflict and insanity. Yeah. But it gets worse because, yeah, this very dangerous alien drug cartel discovers Earth, and then they grab a human, or the leader, Garmantuous, who's like the leader of this drug cartel, plugs a human into his big giant, like, you know, he's got like a sort of uncircumcised penis kind of arm. two of them.
Yeah.
And he's huge. He's like Jabba the Hutt size, you know. So he plugs this human in, and he proceeds to just get euphorically high.
Yeah.
And then they just kill the scout who brought him there.
Yeah.
They cut him out, and they teleport away. The base disappears, and yeah, you find yourself in a role where humanity is now being harvested like cattle and sold to aliens, and aliens are using us to get high off of. And out in the cosmos of this game, that's been a pretty common thing. There's other aliens that are being sold as drugs, sentient life, all the way down to like, you know, animals that are similar to like what we would look at a cat or a dog, or, you know, it's pretty dark.
When you take a human and put them in the hyperbong, are they already dead, or are they being roasted alive?
They're alive, and they are in pain, but they can't. They're basically, it's almost like sleep paralysis. So they're aware, they're in there, they're awake. They can't talk. They can't really move, but
like
you can see the
yeah.
tears. You can see the pain and the tears as their life force is slowly being drained. And you know, a human will last you, you know, like I don't know, a bag of weed. I don't know. It's like, you know, it's like
days.
a week. I don't know. It depends on how much you sit there and just. And if you're not a big, giant, you know, massive alien that can just plug them right in, if you're not a parasitic-based life form, as we call them, if you're just a regular alien the size of us, there's a whole industry around retrofitting and installing a little thing in your head that you can, it's a chip that you can like plug a cable into, and that cable runs to different types of hyperbongs. And in the game, they announced the new hyperbong that's built for humans. So it's this huge thing, you put the human in it, you plug the cable. We're making a little fun of Apple with all the like proprietary plugs and cables and adapters and shit. You know, well, if I already have the thing, can I use this on the new hyperbong? Well, you are going to need an adapter. It's going to be, you know, this many pesos. We're using pesos in this game as an alien currency.
Yeah.
But part of that is because of the way the translator microbes work in the game. So the guns, the very first gun you get is Kenny, and he's talking in alien until he spits in your face.
Yeah.
And then there's this slow transition into English. And then he's just like, we gotta move quick. Like these bases are gonna start warping in, they're gonna start hurting your people, we gotta get the out of here. And so it's this fun action-packed intro, and ultimately, yeah, you go from being a kid who's a year out of high school with no propositions, no job, no college plans, to becoming this hero that you didn't know you had it in you. You become the savior, or, you know, at least as good as you can to stop this. Like one of the big things we wanted to do was like Mega Man. You know, when I was a kid, I loved the idea of like being able to pick whichever boss,
you go
and
visit.
then that would load the level, and it's like, oh, what a cool way to like load a level. And of course, we didn't go full, you know, all the way into that concept, but what we are doing is we're allowing the bounty hunter, or the player, with Kenny, to decide in a smaller scope what cartel guys you're gonna go after in what order. We want real stakes and real kind of dark stuff, and Rick and Morty has that all the time, but we wanna build a world with just so much fun, aliens, build like the Alien TV channel. Like, by the way, this game has so much Alien TV. Like, we have made so much original, like interdimensional cable style, animated, like 3D animated, 2D animated. Like, the TV has so much content that, like, literally, I'm not kidding. Let me think. There's probably 7 hours of content on the TV.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Just everything in this world is just so dense, and we've just really built something amazing here. And then when you kill a cartel leader, you get another gun, you rescue another Gatlian. They're called Gatlians. And each Gatlian has its own full personality and complete different style of weaponry that you can upgrade. They're all upgradable. And we got JB Smoove from Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's one of the main guns. We got Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer and it was like, that's Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
It was him.
Yeah, some people were picking it out, but we didn't say anything in that first teaser because we were like, let's wait until. But like, and then we got Betsy Sidaro, who is amazing, incredible.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, as far as all of your titles have been so far for Squanch Games, even Rick and Morty VR, one of the best VR games out there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, we wanted to sell more copies. we were like, oh God, if we could just sell. I don't even remember what the number was. This many units. That'll give us this much burn to. Like, we had a whole plan that we were kind of best case scenario, and it was like The truth is, you know, VR is a very niche place right now. You can't even really get funding for games. It's like it's not just, you know, it's a tough one. So I picked the toughest way to build a studio. But honestly, it just had to happen the way it happened. But I do love Trover. I still love that game. There are, though, like I want to say there's like 3 pages of notes that I never got fixed, and it just always kills me.
Just because of time and budget.
It was just like, we got to finish this game. Like, we don't have, we just, it's done. And they were not like, you know, game breaking or
polish and making it nicer and cleaner.
It was comedy. It was like, this joke isn't hitting where it needs to hit, or timing, or just but like 3 pages of those throughout the whole game, and I was begging. But at the time, everyone was like, stop. Like, what's good is we learned a lot of lessons on that game that we've taken to this one, to where that stuff's not happening anymore. We didn't have a playable build of Trover where I could just play through the whole game block in. It would crash, and it was like, okay, well, that's a blocker. And I couldn't like go into a submenu and load right past that. Like, now I can just, so we've got tools and tool stacks now, and it's like, it's amazing. And then as we continue to grow as a studio, fingers crossed this game does well, get to make more cool stuff, and we'll just keep getting better, and it's gonna be awesome.
The squanch isn't over yet.
We've got more Justin Roiland after the squanch.
Our story began in Waterdeep, the city of splendors, with a group of scoundrels.
You'll be completely safe with me.
I really do love you, but that was absolutely disgusting.
Welcome back to X-Play.
We're talking High on Life, and Justin Roiland is spilling all the beans.
Which we'll have an intern collect and turn into stew.
We're frugal.
The term is G-fordable.
Which would be the most horrible thing I'd heard in the last 5 minutes if I wasn't thinking about aliens smoking humans as drugs.
Drop some truth on us, Justin.
So in the showcase for High on Life, when it was debuted, you used the word Metroidvania to describe the game. Is that an accurate depiction of the game, or is it more like a jab at the games industry for calling everything a Metroidvania?
No. I mean, a little of both, but you know, you hear Metroidvania, you think like, you know, sprite-based, like, you know, Ori and the Blind
2D,
Forest, maybe, or 2D,
yeah.
And I love those games. Those are some of my favorite genres. I will literally just devour every single one I can get my hands on, unless the controls are and then I'm like, just let me change a couple things, and I will until I'm done. But other than that, I play anything, and In a way, it is, because it's. I mean, maybe you wouldn't call it that, but there are lock and key elements, but not like Doom lock and key, where it's like I need a green key card to open that green door, or so it's more like fun upgrades, like a Metroid or a Zelda, or like cool shit that you're gonna get by way of either rescuing a gun or other things in the game, your bounty hunter suit upgrading.
Yeah.
And you are able to freely go to all of these alien planets and explore. I wouldn't call it an open world game as we've come to know them. It is very narrative driven, but you do have free reign to go and explore these alien worlds as much as you want. And they're alive, and as you move deeper through the chapters of the game, things change in those areas, and there's tons of NPCs to talk to and tons of just stuff to do. Like if you want to see everything in this game, it's a lot of time. Let's say the first bounty you pick, right? You go through the fun level, you do all the stuff, you finally get to the bounty, you boss fight, you kill him, you rescue a gun. That's your second gun, right?
Yeah.
Now you have 2 guns. Now you're gonna go and do the next bounty, right? But you've got a gun that you just rescued who's with you the whole way.
Yeah.
And that gun has their whole personality, their whole skill set, all of this cool shit. But what would have happened if you went and killed the other bounty first?
Gun.
And then you go play that other level that you just played, and doing that whole level with 2 guns instead of just Kenny.
Yeah.
And we wrote so much for the guns. So it's like, we were really trying to do it because we want to give players a lot of like replayability and high player story and just fun things to talk about online, and and then also it's cool. It's like the idea, that Mega Man thing I couldn't let go. If we had AAA studio money, we would have straight up gone for the Mega Man. Like what it would have been is, here's all the cartel leaders. You can do them in any order that you want, except for the last 2, or maybe except for Garmantuous. It's like you've got to get these guys in order to get to him. You know what I mean?
You got to kill all the minions before you fight the mob boss.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like that would have been cool as but it would have been hard. It just would have been. It was just too much.
Yeah.
But so we still have it in there enough. It's really cool. It's still in there. And also, by the way, if you're in a level, whatever gun you have equipped, that's the gun that you're going to be hearing from. And again, I've saw online, I was kind of poking around, I never do this, but I was like reading comments on the YouTube trailer, and it's like, I think there was a little concern about like, oh great, babbling, I don't want a gun babbling in my ear while I play my game, But here's the thing about it is, we really are treating these guns the same way, like BioWare would treat their companions in like Dragon Age, or like these are companions, and they have stories, they have backstories, they have personalities, they've got things they want to do. But they're not constantly babbling. They're not just going to drive you crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to say something that I'm not sure if this is going to be.
We can always cut it if it's.
Well, I'll just say it. I just don't know if it's going to be on launch or if this is going to be a DLC. But we are doing a thing called the silencer. On the gun, it's a silencer.
It's an actual that literally silence them
from
talking.
What it does is you still get a story like stuff because that's important.
Yeah.
But any
like wild lines, and things like that.
It's just nothing.
Yeah.
But I really have a feeling as people kind of get into the game and start playing,
they're gonna want to use it as it is.
The guns are cool as they're funny. It's not overwhelming. It's not like, Jesus, shut the up. I mean, and by the way, if you don't like a particular gun, use another gun. They're all like use JB, like he is, or use Tim or Betsy. I'm one of the guns too. But if you're sick of my Morty voice, I swear I was trying to not do Morty. I was like, guys, I am overusing this voice. Like I was the one saying to the team, I want to cast, I'm not going to say who, but I had somebody I wanted to cast as Kenny, the main gun.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do it. I wanted to just do a bunch of the weird aliens in the world.
Yeah.
And that would have been more fun for me. And then also I think it would have been a little bit, like, hey, I'm not completely overusing this voice, right? Like, which I am. And I'm going to kind of slow, after this, I'm like, okay.
You've had enough.
Trover is Morty.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, come on. Like, we
get it. You're Morty.
Yeah. No. I mean, well, the problem is I only have so many. I'm very aware of I've got like 4 voices I can do. So it's like, what do you.
But I think given to what you've built and like your brand and stuff, like, I think people would be bummed if they also didn't hear it.
Well, that's what the team was saying, and we had a big, debate about it, like, just friendly, just kind of like, okay, let's just talk. let's have a meeting. Let's just pro and con it.
Yeah.
And I want to hear all. You know, I'm very like collaborative with the team. So yeah, they won. I mean, I really didn't want to do it. I was like begging them. but no, I was like, dude, you know, when your whole team is telling you, it's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I'll do it. But like, I just knew in my gut. I mean, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. People will like it. It's gonna be great. I just had this like, I don't want to say I knew in my gut. I just had to. It was me, and I can't. It's me, so it's hard. I can't. I'm biased, and I'm in my own head, and I'm like,
Right.
they're not. So I'm like, okay, fine. You guys know
You're
better.
always going to be your own worst critic, especially when it's your own project.
Yeah. The thing I will say though is Kenny is very different than Morty or Trover. Like who he is as a character is very different.
Right.
And I did try to do a deeper Morty and not, you know, not as like high. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but nobody notices that. They're just like, it's Morty. I mean, and I don't blame them. It's fine, you know, whatever. Like Tom does a bunch of voices in the game. Tom Kenny, Maurice LaMarche. We got Jennifer Hale. We got Nolan North. We got like video game like badasses, and then we've got like comedy legends like Rich Fulcher, Mary Mack from Solar Opposites,
Yeah.
Thomas Middleditch from Solar Opposites.
Yeah.
We have like a really wild cast. Like it really is like our goal as a studio is to make primetime animated comedy level content, but in the video game space. And I'm a huge video game fan, I'm a huge gamer, and I always appreciate when, like one of my favorite studios is Free Lives. Have you known that they do genital jousting?
I love genital jousting.
Broforce.
Yes, Broforce is incredible.
And then they have a new one that's like, I think it's called like Kickfoot or Kick.
Yeah, I think, is it drop foot, kick foot? It's where all you do is you just kick. Yeah, you send doors into
dude,
enemies.
I'm just like, oh my god, you guys are so brilliant. Like, they're so brilliant. I just love them. They're right now my favorite developer, and Devolver is always putting out amazing shit. I mean,
they just make whatever they want, man. It's crazy.
But they actually do make like the shit that if it's the Devolver game, I'll just buy it because I'm like, even if it's not my genre that I play, I'll just buy it because I'm like, you know what? I don't know who's curating over there, but those guys are
They're on
at
top
what they
of
do.
it.
Yes, they're very good. But yes, I mean we're doing something different. But like God, those guys, I just want to be friends with those guys. I want to be friends with that world because it's like they all seem like dude, any dev team that's making genital jousting, like they're my people. Those are my people. We need to hang out, you know. But whatever. Anyway, yeah.
Well, on that note, I'm going to end this with a bunch of rapid fire questions.
Go ahead.
They're all about video games, real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Easy. First one. Favorite video game of all time. Top three.
Okay. And okay, Metroid, original Metroid.
For NES, the original? Okay.
Yes. And I mean, look, if you want to get hair splitty, like
Super Metroid,
you know, Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission, blah, blah, blah. But Metroid, the original, holds a very, very sentimental, special place in my heart. I have a bad memory, but I can still boot that bitch up and beat it without a guide.
Yeah.
Because that's how much I played it as a kid. Anyway, so that. I mean, again, this is another one. Like, but Grand Theft Auto 3 was like a very like holy shit, are you kidding me kind of moment.
Yeah.
And then, dude, I could sit here all day, but it's like, you know, obviously all of the Miyamoto stuff, like Breath of the Wild. This is a modern version of the original Zelda with the exploration and the, you know what I mean? And it's so beautiful. I have so many, but it's like, and then I forget one. I'll be walking back and I'm like, oh, my main game. But yeah, so that's why these questions are like, oh.
Next question. Favorite console of all time?
My favorite system is the Game Boy Advance, the DS.
Let's go!
The 3DS. Those are my favorites. Yeah, those are my favorite systems. And then right now, I think the Switch is just like insane.
Yeah. So if you could voice a character in any game, what game would it be?
It'd be fun to do something in like the next Elder Scrolls or like, you know, one of the big, you know, like studios. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Like something not a main character, but like some kind of fun little Easter egg
like
thing would be. Yeah.
What does a human taste like to the aliens in your game?
So it isn't a taste thing. It's more of just it's like a very intense euphoric, like I would imagine it would have like the euphoria rush that you hear heroin addicts talking about, mixed with like MDMA, like just, but with zero, it's like, it's clean. It's like there's none of the, you're not going to be like, oh, I need more. I'm on the rat wheel of addiction. All of that's out of it. It's all perfect.
Yeah.
So it's like this amazing, incredible thing that it's like, yeah, these aliens might even feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, it feels too good, man. Sorry. Plugging in.
Awesome. Well, Justin, thanks again for joining us to talk about
absolutely.
High on Life. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Happy to,
High on Life looks incredibly up.
As up as a Marvel fighting game where half the characters were created by EA?
Not that much.
Well, that's where we're headed after the break.
Don't go anywhere.
It's getting really weird out there.
How weird?
Oh my God, you killed Kirby!
We give X-Play a 5 out of 5.
I hope you'll do better next time.
Welcome back to X-Play.
Long before the golden age of the MCU, Marvel would let just about anyone make a game.
Including EA.
Who decided to create a bunch of characters no one wanted or remembers.
Except for that one man named Professor Choke.
And he's preaching nostalgia in our segment on game franchises that never got a sequel. One Game Wonders, Marvel Nemesis.
Excelsior!
You think Choke is actually going to show up?
He better. I don't care how bad we beat his ass last week. This is the last day of class, and I'm not trying to do this again.
Jake. Joe.
Choke?
Now, as you all know, this is the last day of summer school, and despite the fact you jumped me last week, I figured it was only right if we go out on a high note.
I'd ask if you're actually going to teach us anything, but we all know that answer at this point.
What's the game, Choke? Just get to the game.
We're talking about one of the greatest fighting games to never get a sequel. That's what. Marvel Nemesis, Jake!
No. No.
No! Jake, wait! Jake, wait!
You were lucky that this man held me back, because I swear on everything holy.
You got a problem with Marvel, Jake?
No! I have a problem with you! We know why Marvel Nemesis didn't get a sequel! It was mid, at best!
You take that back!
You really think Marvel Nemesis is good? You gonna look me in the eye and tell me Marvel Nemesis is good?
Yeah.
You a whole ass bitch, dude.
I'm sick of you guys not respecting me. Now shut up and listen to my lecture! Marvel Nemesis came out at a weird time for Marvel Comics. The characters were gradually regaining relevance through a hit-or-miss movies, but for every Spider-Man 2 and X2 X-Men United, there was a Spider-Man 3 and a Fantastic Four. In the mid-2000s, most superhero games were simply movie tie-ins. It was rare to see new original games built around any character not named Batman or Superman, and even those games weren't that good. From 2004 to 2006, EA had a brief licensing agreement with Marvel. During those 2 years, they made a whopping one game, and it was called Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects. Pop quiz, what Earth does Marvel Nemesis take place on? The correct answer is Earth 50701! Marvel Nemesis is a 3D arena fighter in the vein of Power Stone and Soul Calibur. The game is unique because not only does it include heroes like Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Captain America, but also the Imperfects, a group of original characters developed by EA. Who needs Electro when you got Johnny Ohm in this bitch? I know some folks were upset at the inclusion of original characters over folks like Ghost Rider and Blade, but honestly, I thought it was cool that they took the chance and tried something new. It wasn't great, but it was interesting. The story is your standard alien invasion fare, and while it doesn't break new ground, it does feel like you're playing a high-energy action movie with some of your favorite Marvel characters. Each hero has their own campaign and story mode, so by default, this is the best Daredevil and Elektra video game.
Doesn't count.
I didn't ask you. Power mismatches are the name of the game, and Marvel Nemesis does a solid job of recreating that. Nemesis has destructible environments with items littered around that you can throw at your opponent. Some heavier items like cars can only be lifted by hella strong fighters like the Hulk or the Thing, and characters like Iron Man and Spider-Man can combat that lack of strength with the range and a little bit of mobility. Everyone is OP in one way or another except for Elektra. That movie still sucks. Was Marvel Nemesis perfect? No, but it was a really solid foundation that could have been perfected if it was just given an actual shot. The Imperfects were an interesting concept, and I would have liked to see more of them fleshed out in further entries. Sure, they're laughable one-off these days, but they could have been lovable rejects if given the chance. Though with news that EA is potentially working on a new Marvel game, maybe the chance is finally coming.
Yeah, because we can all trust EA. Are you done now? Are you good?
I'm glad you asked that, Jake. Time for your final exams!
What the hell, dude? This is all shit you didn't teach us!
What is this? You should have been doing your reading outside of class!
You didn't assign any reading!
Oh, what? Now it's my responsibility to teach you?
It's literally your job!
I don't know what to tell you guys, okay? Looks like you'll be seeing me next semester if you fail your final exams!
You are, without a doubt, the worst person I have ever met. And I once met Jared Fogle.
You two will be seeing more of me next semester.
That's our show.
We can't wait for the Imperfects movie to get announced for Phase 27.
I'm sure we'll all see it and say, it was pretty good.
But until Kevin Feige gets that Imperfects movie in theaters, try out our YouTube channel. We post new videos every week.
How are they, Gerard?
They're pretty good.
I'll take it. See you all in the comments, Muppets.
Bye.
Today on X-Play, an old man yells at us to stop complaining about game remakes and how kids these days don't read enough Faulkner. Plus, we get our greedy mitts on the Steam Deck and break down the good, the bad, and the battery life. Is Valve's handheld console a winner, or is it the Steam machine all over again? We don't have a Vampire Survivors problem. You have a Vampire Survivors problem. It's game time.
Hello and welcome to X-Play.
Sure, everyone talks about new games.
But what about old games turned into new games?
Remakes and remasters are becoming a bigger part of the games industry.
Do they have a legit place in our library, or are they just an unnecessary cash grab?
Adam Sessler has some thoughts on the subject.
So grab a bag of popcorn and step up to the Sessler soapbox.
Yeah, I took some time off, needed to refresh, enjoyed lots and lots of therapy, and I feel like I've come back new and improved. And also, X-Play has come back new and improved with X-Play Plus. Well, I was also on the remastered edition for the first episode of its return. It seems to be happening at exactly the same time that remasters, remakes are getting a lot of chatter out there in the world, most notably with the slightly curious Last of Us remake. You know, new code, built from the ground up. It was only made kind of commensurate with the PlayStation 4 Pro not that long ago, but we're getting yet another version of the game. And a lot of people are scratching their heads going, why are we using all of these resources that could be going to making new IPs and new games? Why do we have all of these remakes and remasters? One thing I gotta say to you is, I, for one, am really, really happy, and I wish there were actually more of them. First off, there really is no finite creativity. We can have both remakes and new games out there. And remember, a lot of those new IPs or a lot of those new things don't even make it to the shelf. You know, they become expensive experiments and they get diverted into something new. One other thing, this is not about game preservation, which I find to be essential, and it's something that is of great concern to me. That is preserving the old code of the original game for both historical and research purposes. We've already been losing so many games that are so old because no one really thought this was going to be an industry that took off. It was supposed to be a flash in the pan. I like remasters. Really, the first one that comes to mind for me is Klonoa. I love Klonoa, but you know, I don't have a PlayStation 2 anymore. I live in apartments. I don't get to have big clunky things that I never pull out anymore. I have to give them away, I drop them off at the Goodwill, or I just kind of bonk somebody on the head with it. So I don't get to play Klonoa anymore until now. It's been made available, Klonoa 1 and 2, on the Switch. This is great. I didn't think, oh my God, what game did we miss? I get to play a game that I really like. Also, this is really the most important thing. I don't think I would have enjoyed playing Klonoa in its original form. You forget how much games have changed. And this is what makes gaming such a different medium than anything else. If you think about movies for a second, if you have eyes, you can see a movie from 1910 just as easily as you can see a movie from 1925 or 1985 or 2024. You just have to be able to see it. It's different with games. That muscle memory that we use, that we train up, that kind of makes holding a controller something that's very second nature, that has been a slow change and accretion of skills. And when suddenly you have to undo maybe 15, maybe 20 years worth of what you've already learned, it can be very, very frustrating. Just simple thing, not having a full 3D camera. I remember ages ago, I wanted to go back and play Maximo. Once again, a PlayStation 2 game. It was based on the Ghosts and Goblins. It was an homage to it. There isn't really much of a 3D camera, even though it's a 3D game. And some of the angles you got to do some jumps on, you kind of want to scooch it over a little bit. It can drive you slightly insane. Now, what happens with these remakes, not necessarily in the Last of Us case, but what can happen with these remakes is you go in, you tweak it a little bit, and now you have something that is accessible. Some great examples of that. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. It came out a couple of holidays ago, and I remember seeing my godson, who was probably 8 or 9 at the time, playing that. It didn't look as wonderful as some of the other games that were out there, but it played well. He could pick up a controller and do these things, and he wanted to show it off to me. These steps to make it more accessible, and not just for those where there are challenges, be it just holding a controller or color blindness. No, this is more just something that you understand how to play it based upon contemporary standards. This then introduces these games to such a wider audience and a younger audience to understand something about the history of games. Even more importantly, this is the kind of thing that gets the attention of game publishers. So certain genres, the skating game, and also for me, the platformer, the 3D platformer, the good 2D stuff that we've been seeing out there in the indie space, those are well handled. But kind of the overly polished 3D character-driven platformer, Insomniac's the only one doing that with Ratchet and Clank. But if someone was to put out a remake, like they did of Ratchet and Clank, it could at least give us more, which I think is one of the reasons we got the exceptional Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. In fact, anyone who played the remake of Ratchet and Clank 1 and 2 that was squashed into one big game kind of knew when Rift Apart was announced that we were getting something very, very, very special. Also, I haven't played, but I'm going to take the word of every other human being around me, Final Fantasy VII. They took something where you had to use your imagination to kind of understand that world. you had to kind of imagine just how cool that world was. Final Fantasy VII Remake took those ideas, and now the technology existed to fully realize and articulate what Final Fantasy VII was for so many people when they played it the first time. I cannot figure out how that is a bad thing. I think one of the reasons that we look at remakes as something that is a pejorative has a lot to do with the film industry, which, has a strong habit of finding an old IP and somehow resurrecting it and leaving everyone just kind of going, what? Why did you decide to do that? So why are we so interested in remakes and why are we so resistant? And I think it actually has to do with something a lot grander. And you'll probably hear me say this on many a soapbox going forward. It's a little bit to do with mortality. That with these remakes, it's a way to revisit the past, and it's a way to keep the past alive, the cultural past in the case of a remake, that we don't want to think that just because we've moved forward in time, moved forward in technology, that suddenly we can ignore everything that happened before. Because that makes, as you get older, it's a way of just, you don't want to give up on all of your efforts, everything that's kind of, brought you here. You want to revisit it. We can look back at the past, improve it, and represent it because there is something of value there. And now we know how to maximize it. That's my hope. It's oddly positive for me. That's also how I feel about myself right now. Definitely about X-Play. New, improved, shiny, for now.
If you step on Sessler's lawn, he'll come out and give you a 20-minute monologue about how great Klonoa is.
Yeah, I've seen him do it.
Yeah, and while you're riding the bus on the way to Sessler's lawn, you'll need something to play.
We go hands-on with the Steam Deck right after the break.
Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to X-Play.
If you pre-ordered the Steam Deck a year ago, then there's a decent chance you have it by now.
And if your deck hasn't shown up yet, well, it's probably because Amit looked deep into your soul and saw how much porn you've watched and deemed you not yet worthy.
I don't know what that has to do with a Steam Deck.
Do you have one?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Steam Deck?
No.
Well, it's a good thing at least 2 people on the X-Play team are on Amit's good side.
Let's go hands-on with the Steam Deck.
Check it out.
The Steam Deck was announced in the summer of 2021. I ordered it live on stream in the beach house, and a year later, Valve's new handheld is finally in my hands. Valve messaged out that they've cleared up their supply chain issues and that everyone who currently has a reservation for their brand new handheld will have it by the very end of this year. The Steam Deck is a first-of-its-kind project for the House of Half-Life. And despite the challenge of high-powered games draining the battery life like a starving vampire, the initial response has been overwhelmingly positive from gamers and game developers alike. The new handheld console is meant more as a comp to high-end gaming laptops rather than a Switch killer itself. And it's a big swing for Valve. Does it deliver? Well, we've gone hands-on, and our X-Play editorial lead, Danny Pena, is here to help us to see if the Steam Deck is the real deal. So Danny, how long have you had your Steam Deck, and which model do you have?
It's been a month now. I have the highest here, I believe, is 512 gigs, I believe. Half a terabyte, right? So,
totally.
Yeah, so I have that, and I love this system so much, man.
Let's show it off to the camera, everyone. Look at that.
I feel like all the poor people at the table need to leave, meaning me.
My Steam Deck.
That's a phone.
Now, if you compare it to the Switch OLED,
look at the difference.
And it feels heavy. You want to try it out? Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Horizon, God of War. There's a couple other games there, Thumper, like indie games and stuff. So battery life, it can last an hour and change depending on the type of game. So if I play like a game like God of War, an hour plus.
There are options in the Steam Deck to reduce the use of the battery. You can adjust the way the screen is behaving, how the batteries are behaving, closing certain apps or multiple apps at once, because it's like a phone or a computer where if you've got too many apps, it slows it down. So it's not just like you boot up a game and it lasts an hour. It's dependent on how you at home play the Steam Deck and how you kind of play different games.
I go all the way up. But the game that I play the most, which is crazy, is Vampire Survivors.
Oh, me too. Yeah, Vampire Survivors. It's great. I don't have a problem, okay? I just like it.
Best $3 game I ever played, man.
Preach it.
How does the button layout feel when you're playing games? I see like the analog sticks are kind of across, similar to like the PlayStation controller. I prefer an Xbox controller. So like, how does it feel in your guys' hands?
Well, for me, because I play a lot of Switch, I had to get used to the D-pad because the D-pad is on top. So every time I'm playing a game, I will switch and I go to the touchpad right here, thinking that it's the D-pad automatically. But once you get a couple games in, you get used to it very quick.
For sure.
It does feel heavy though. But.
A really good or really interesting article. I can't remember if it was like Polygon or maybe it was Game Rant that was talking about how the Steam Deck might change control layouts and control systems, especially for first-person shooters. Have you guys found that? Or Danny, since you've had it longer, have you been experimenting at all with some of your layouts because of the nature of the control scheme?
I have, but I usually play a default. Like I played a lot of the third-person games. Apex plays phenomenal on this right here too. Plus, something we've got to mention, there's also buttons here on the bottom too.
There is an L4 and an L5 button on the back, so you can program the controller to be, or the whole Steam Deck to be a little more accessible for games.
Let me ask you this: Have you tried the touchpad at all? It reminds me of the Steam controller.
I have. I've definitely, because I have fat hands, I have definitely accidentally pressed it a few times. But it's very easy to recognize, especially because the right one rumbles on most games. So if you are incorrectly touching it or moving it around, it rumbles. So you know, oh, I'm touching that instead of the actual analog stick.
But enough about analog sticks, let's talk about games you should play if you snag one of these bad boys. Video games shouldn't feel like a job, but Aperture Desk Job is where we'll make an exception. If you want to get familiar with your Steam Deck features and also spend more time in the Portal universe, Aperture Desk Job should be your first stop. Not every game needs to be the craziest high-end graphics. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is not yet Steam Deck verified, but Ori and the Blind Forest is, and it's just as vibrant and as amazing as we remember.
Definitely check out Vampire Survivors. It is a great game with a great gameplay loop. Just a fun pick-up-and-go title all the way around.
You probably never thought that you'd ever play Elden Ring on an airplane, but Steam Deck makes that not just possible, but easy. It handles this Game of the Year contender with flying colors, and you don't have to deal with the bullshit Elden Ring keyboard and mouse situation. In fact, with a bit of finessing, Elden Ring runs better on the Steam Deck than it does on some PC rigs and has earned verified status from Valve. On one end is the time-devouring Elden Ring, and on the other end is Stray. This short, sweet cat game is a must-play, so get on it right now. Right now.
Now, one other game we have to recommend is Vampire Survivors. It's simple to pick up, but the infinite variations and sense of progression puts it at the very top of our list, and it's only $3.
Neon White is a game all about speed and hitting that perfect run. It's addicting and it runs buttery smooth on the Steam Deck. And speaking of buttery smooth, Apex Legends is a great game that runs great on the Steam Deck.
Ooh, speaking of great games, Vampire Survivors available right now on the Steam Deck.
Horizon Zero Dawn is a banger, and the Steam Deck is a perfect excuse to go back and play it again. Plus, Insomniac just confirmed that Spider-Man Remastered will be Steam Deck verified when it drops. We will definitely be jumping back into Spidey's world, and the Steam Deck might be the perfect way to do it. And of course, God of War. Sony's instant classic looks great.
I actually have God of War 2018 pulled up running on my Steam Deck that we can show you guys at home how it looks. This is running at, I want to say, 1080p 60 through the Steam Deck, and it looks pretty buttery smooth. I'm pretty stoked about it. You know, God of War on the go is a fun time.
Yeah, and I know there's ways also to play Xbox S Cloud. There's people that manage to do that. I haven't done it at all, but it's crazy playing, you know, games like God of War, Horizon, all these PlayStation games, you know, and in the future, Spider-Man, that's going to be my game once it comes out. I'm going to be playing on the Steam Deck too.
I'm just happy to hear that Apex runs on the Steam Deck. I mean, it runs on every platform except for the Switch at this point. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Even mobile.
That is very true. Very, very true.
Now, it is important to note that not every game out the box is Steam compatible, Steam Deck compatible. So if you pick up a game and you want to play it and it doesn't run that well, it's mostly because the developers have not optimized it yet. And the Steam Deck actually most times won't let you run it because it's not on their Steam Deck compatibility list. So if you're like, oh, this game sucks on the Steam Deck, give it time. Developers are still learning how to use this thing, how to program for it. They're learning how to make it better with each patch.
We're gonna hit pause for a second to pay some bills.
And if you're lucky, your Steam Deck's battery will last all the way through the commercial break.
So don't go anywhere. Back to X-Play.
We're taking an up-close look at the Steam Deck.
Thank you to Valve Santa Claus for finally delivering Gerard's unit.
Valve Santa Claus sounds awesome.
It's just Gabe Newell in a white beard.
When you ask, are you working on Half-Life 3, he says,
no, no, no.
To speak on the Steam store for a moment, Valve verifies titles that have been optimized specifically for the Steam Deck. And there are more than 1,700 titles already given the seal of approval. And when you boot up your Steam Deck, you will have access to every game you've ever been purchased or gifted, including Vampire Survivors.
You want to show that, Gerard?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can kind of show you right here. Vampire
so right
Survivors.
here, you could. see like Grand Deck, like let's say you have 300 games installed already in your PC. When you go to Grand Deck, it will show you the ones that is compatible for this.
Hey Gerard, will you please play Vampire Survivors? Yeah, no problem, Chad. What? I just want to play Vampire Survivors in the middle of the segment. I don't have a problem. You have a problem. I'm booting it up. I'm playing Vampire Survivors. You have a question, Danny?
Do you see yourself like playing this more than the Switch? I'm still going to be switching here and there, it all depends what games comes out. But it's exciting playing, games on the go, especially like, AAA games. And Elden Ring plays really, really good on this.
Yeah, I mean, right now, definitely because all I do is play Vampire Survivors. In fact, that's what I'm doing.
How many hours
right now.
already?
163.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Wait, how many days? Oh, I'm going to keep talking. You said 163?
Yeah,
my main concern with this is I'd be worried that it'd be obsolete within like a year or two.
I'm not gonna lie.
7 days, Gerard. You played Vampire Survivors for a week straight.
Look, it's perfectly normal to spend 7 round-the-clock days playing a bullet hell randomized game, okay? It's normal, all right? I don't have a problem.
So I had the Steam machine, and that...
Bless your heart.
Yeah, I had that.
No, he's the first person I've ever heard say, I have a Steam. What?
Now, to give a little context, the Steam machine was a console-like gaming PC for your living room to compete with the likes of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. It was released in 2015 with models from a few different manufacturers, all running on the Steam OS. Despite trying to hype up PC gaming on your living room TV, and even releasing a new Steam controller, the console just never really took off.
At first, I didn't want to pre-order the Steam Deck because I felt like, man, this is Valve's first handheld. Is it going to be good or not? It's going to be similar to the Steam machine that didn't last that long. And I got a couple people that got it early. I'm like, you know what? Let me get it. So I managed to get it early for me to...
It would be really cool if they, like in a second or third iteration, they came up with some type of upgrade system where like you could insert, like they have their own proprietary RAM or like CPU that you could put in and you could upgrade it yourself.
Well, at the very least, there is a memory card port, so you can throw in a micro SD card to keep it up. Because I think there's what three or four different models, and all of them feature bigger space. But the biggest one that me and Danny both have, it has a different matte finish, so it actually feels a little bit different than the other models.
Even the screen looks different than the other models too.
Do you think as a larger, I guess, like money sink than necessarily something like a Nintendo Switch right now, even though we just compared it to, this is like something for like a gaming laptop, that the Steam Deck might very quickly get obsolete by its hardware alone, since it's unlike a gaming PC where you can keep upgrading pieces? Like, is that ever a fear, or do you think that it's so powerful that it'll have the longevity similar to a console or a laptop?
The way I see it, they're going to treat this thing like it's a Nintendo Switch, where it's a platform war, it's not a console war, in that it's going to be like an iPhone, where they just keep releasing new models that'll just get better and better and the old ones will be obsolete, but the idea is that yes, this is expensive, but I have over 500 600 games on Steam. I didn't spend a single dime on new games. I just booted this thing up, and not only am I playing games I already own, but it interacts with the cloud save. So immediately I picked up automatically where I left off in both God of War and Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the only thing that I'm very excited to try out is the official dock that I know it got delayed for later this year. That you could also add that to your console and play it easily on the TV. So, but I'm not afraid of this like failing, because I see a lot of people been buying it. People that have never bought a Steam machine, they have this for the first time, so we haven't found out the numbers yet from Valve, but I think it's going to be a successful product for them.
Oh, this is definitely not Steam machine over again.
Oh,
like
no.
I see it on Twitter, like, oh man, I can't get it. There's a demand for it. I think people are excited. It's just, I'm curious to see in the longevity, will it maintain? But it's definitely there right now.
Mm-hmm. When cats are playing with laser pointers? This is how I feel watching Gerard play this game.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone at home. I probably should warn you all of a little bit of a flash warning if you're sensitive to lights, to maybe close your eyes or minimize the screen just for a little bit, just because as I get better and better at this game and evolve like a snowball, almost like Katamari Damacy style, the bit rate on Twitch and YouTube will start to fall apart just because.
Why does that happen?
It's because the game, there's just too many things. There's just too many items. It falls apart as you play. And it's so funny because if you're watching someone on streams play this game, it just falls apart. And I think it's hilarious.
Oh, speaking of items, are there any cool accessories that people need to be aware of?
What a segue, King.
That's very slick. You're a pro, dude. You're a pro.
I'm trying to get like Gamertag Radio.
Yeah, there's a third-party dock where I'm probably going to bring one of these days to Expo. You guys could check it out. That one. Also, there's cases. I've seen the different colors, the cases you could add into this, and of course SD cards.
Yeah, I definitely want one, especially starting to travel a little bit more. I can see it versus carrying the big heavy laptop. The case, what's the name? Like, does it add extra bulk in the book bag? Is it?
You know what?
Do you have it?
Can somebody pass me the case?
Because sometimes cases are like
mine's right here.
I don't like cases that are like damn near a book bag.
So this is right here.
Oh no, this is not bad.
Yeah, and in the back right here you could put the plug.
Yeah, I can't stand cases that are like way bigger than the actual product. So that this looks great to throw in the book bag.
This is such a small thing, but what I actually really like about this compared to some of the stuff that I've seen around my Switch is that this just looks so minimalist. It's very clean in its design.
You know what I love about it? Show the back. There's a pouch that you can pull apart, and that's where you put your power adapter.
Yay.
So it doesn't crush your screen.
And also it came with this too. For our tier.
Yeah. Little screen cleaner.
Yeah, so I could clean it and everything. But yeah, it feels great. It's perfect.
Yeah, it
Great
feels
device.
really high quality. I know that you said it was heavy. I don't know the actual weight dimension, so it could very well be heavier than the Nintendo Switch. But when I picked it up for the first time, I was like, this is very comparable for how much more powerful and larger it is.
I definitely want one. Just holding it, I'm like, okay, I see the potential in this thing.
Final thoughts. Tech, just go back to the screen real quick. When you get a chance to the game.
I think this is a must have. I think this is going to be a game changer for Valve.
This is Vampire Survivors, one of the best games ever made. Best $3 on Steam. One of the best games on the Steam Deck. I'm not even playing at this point, and I'm doing pretty good.
So you just stay there the whole time? That's
all I got to do is get a little bit of gold, and I'm invincible.
This isn't a slam, just an honest question. Why is this game fun if you're just doing this?
It's just about surviving.
This is about whooping ass.
And that too.
You ever played a game where hold on. You ever played a game where you're great at it and you whoop ass and you beat little kids on the ground?
I play Pokemon Unite.
Does it feel good?
Yes.
Welcome to Vampire Survivors. 160 hours of my life have gone to it, and I don't regret it because I'm the best. Them kids. Play Vampire Survivors.
That's our show.
Check us out on YouTube for extended game reviews and videos.
And join the chat during our live streams every Tuesday.
We appreciate you for watching.
And we appreciate Valve Santa Claus for putting Portal 3 in our stockings this year.
But we all know it will probably be a box of socks instead.
See you next time.
Peace.
Today on X-Play, we're exposing the secretish history of Anthem and learn that when you combine 5 pounds of power armor and 5 pounds of poop, you get 10 pounds of poop. Fetch quests are the best quests. It's game time.
Hello and welcome to X-Play.
Today, we're exploring the jungle that is the Anthem development story.
Why would a company take a developer known for a narrative title and make them make a purely multiplayer experience?
I don't know, it makes no sense.
It'd be like telling X-Play to make a show without jokes.
Are these jokes?
Look, the team has promised the jokes are coming in the next X-Play patch update.
Oh, great!
Jokes and also loot crates.
Oh, let the shit show begin.
Baldur's Gate, Knights of the Old Republic, Neverwinter Nights, Jade Empire, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, MDK2. You've most likely heard of, if not played, one of these games. For over 20 years, BioWare established itself as a gaming giant in the industry and set a gold standard for RPGs everywhere. But over the last 5 years, we've watched BioWare go from kings of the industry to now a studio whose rocky future remains uncertain. But the linchpin, the crux of this descent, appears to be a little game named Anthem. For those unfamiliar, Anthem is an online multiplayer action RPG where players are provided with powerful exosuits and are tasked with exploring and fighting creatures on the planet Coda in order to protect the Anthem of Creation. Anthem was supposed to be BioWare's next big franchise, their next big leap in the gaming industry, and now, 3 years post-release, it costs 1 penny at GameStop. So how did this ambitious project end up in the bargain bin? Well, it's time to jump into our javelins and explore the secretish history of Anthem. In order to talk about Anthem, we need to understand a bit about the history of BioWare. First, BioWare was founded by Drs. Greg Zeschuk, Ray Muzica, and Augustine Yip. And yes, you heard that right, doctors. The three met in medical school and shared a love for video games, so much so that they developed medical simulation programs, including such hits as Acid Base Simulator and Gastroenterology Patient Simulator. Oh, thrilling! However, their passion for game design soon surpassed their love of the medical field, so they dropped their glucose analyzers for game engines, added more members to their new team, pooled together $100,000, and made their first game. So yeah, the name BioWare comes from their bio, aka the team's biology background, and software, BioWare. From there, BioWare launches the first game, Shattered Steel, published by a company familiar to the secretish history series, Interplay Productions. During Shattered Steel's development, the team was already pitching ideas for their next new title. Tabletop RPGs were beloved by most of the company members, and after working out a partnership with the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons license, Baldur's Gate was born. BioWare would continue to create banger RPGs, including Baldur's Gate 2, Neverwinter Nights, Knights of the Old Republic, and of course, Jade Empire, all within the first 10 years of being a company. Each game would inspire the next, allowing developers to expand upon mechanics, narrative design, character interactions, and of course, romance options. And speaking of dating, BioWare was about to enter a serious relationship themselves. In October of 2007, Electronic Arts announced their acquisition of BioWare and subsequently Pandemic Studios. While this relationship would often be rocky, EA provided an opportunity that would change the company forever. It made BioWare games multi-platform. 2007 was also the year that BioWare would bestow arguably their greatest franchise onto the world, Mass Effect. Now BioWare was at the top of their game. Soon came Dragon Age, Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age 2, Star Wars The Old Republic, developed by BioWare Austin, their first foray into online multiplayer, and of course, Mass Effect 3. That September, after the release of Mass Effect 3, BioWare would announce the third installment in their other major franchise, Dragon Age 3. And then, one day later, on September 18th, BioWare founders and RPG veterans Ray Muzica and Greg Zeschuk announced their departure from BioWare and retired from the gaming industry as a whole. It was the closing of BioWare's most influential chapter and the beginning of a brand new one. Anthem started development in late 2012. The individual heading the project was none other than Casey Hudson, director of the Mass Effect trilogy and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. In an interview with Game Informer, Hudson noted how he and his team would ask themselves, where should games go? And that future was Project Dylan. No, it wasn't named after some developer's kid, but rather Bob Dylan, in the hopes that, like the musician himself, the game would be referenced by video game fans for years to come. While overall ideas regarding Anthem kept circling and cycling, there was one key element they knew the game had to have. It would be an action game that players could play cooperatively. Shared experience was a big element for BioWare. While players had mostly shared the adventures of Mass Effect and Dragon Age with digital NPCs, what if you and your in-real-life friends could constantly share the experiences of the next BioWare game? They had tackled multiplayer under the Star Wars IP, and now it was time to try it within the realm of a brand new world. Over the next several months, more and more elements of Dylan began to come together. The setting would be a hostile alien world where Iron Man-esque robot suits were required for planetary traversal. And more specifically, what if this hostile alien world was essentially a galactic Bermuda Triangle? Pulling in hazards, creatures, dangerous aliens, you name it. Project Dylan was thankfully retitled to something more marketable and with less hubris. Beyond. But for clarity's sake, we'll keep referring to it as Anthem. Anthem wasn't originally the looter shooter it was at release. From inception, the BioWare team had envisioned a multiplayer game where you would embark from the main hub city with your friends and see how long you could survive on the planet, taking out monsters, uncovering secrets, etc. There was a stronger emphasis on endurance rather than hoarding loot, and that is what excited a lot of the team and kept them inspired to work on the project. A conceptual trailer of Beyond was even shown at E3 2014. But sadly, that August creative director, Casey Hudson, left the project and BioWare entirely. Hudson stated in his departure letter, "The foundation of our new IP in Edmonton is complete, and the team is ready to move forward into pre-production on a title that I think will redefine interactive entertainment." Much like a dad, helping you plan out your science project and then immediately dipping once Sunday Night Football starts. And while Hudson probably had a good faith in his team, ultimately, Anthem began to falter without a leader. As the game was hitting core developmental stages, it was becoming evident that some of the idealistic features of the game may not work as seamlessly as they had originally thought. For instance, with each change and modification of the traversal system, the world had to be redesigned to fit it. Meanwhile, in 2014, Dragon Age Inquisition was released to critical acclaim. Despite the horrible crunch, internal indecisiveness, and technical issues, it went on to win several awards and has become one of the most beloved games in the franchise. Inquisition was also the first BioWare title to use EA's Frostbite engine, an engine developed by DICE, but we'll circle back to Frostbite a bit later.
We'll be right back with the secret-ish history of Anthem after this quick break.
Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to X-Play.
We return to the flying power suit-shaped dumpster fire known as Anthem.
But as is often the case, things are rarely pure Paragon or pure Renegade.
Check out part 2 of our secret-ish history.
In 2015, David Gator, the lead writer for the Dragon Age series, was assigned to Anthem. As Gator took the writing reins, Anthem's story began to feature big central villains and strange plot device artifacts, aka the staples that BioWare was known for. In January of 2016, less than 1 year after he was brought onto the project, Gator left BioWare. Now Anthem was left without a leader or a lead writer. The leadership and direction of Anthem were suddenly in the hands of the design director, art director, game director, animation director, and several Mass Effect veterans. Indecision ran rampant, and the worst part was that it was pure uncharted territory. Now Anthem had been roughly in pre-production for 4 years at this point, and it was time for the holidays. It was a BioWare tradition for teams to build demos that staff could take home to play during the holiday break, and 2016 was the winter of Dylan. The Anthem demo was sent around to all BioWare teams and eventually landed in the lap of EA executive Patrick Soderlund. Soderlund was allegedly disappointed by the graphics and demo itself, so it was time for an overhaul. See, Anthem was different from BioWare's stables for a myriad of reasons. As we've mentioned, they were building an online collaborative multiplayer from the ground up. On top of that, BioWare was working with a lot of pie-in-the-sky features and ideas that would prove difficult to execute due to time, manpower, and the game's engine. One of these being the flying feature. Anthem's flying feature would constantly be included and then removed during development. Sometimes it was a glide, and oftentimes the mechanics straight up broke everything. And, of course, the biggest change of them all, no, not Frostbite, it was no romance options. That's right, for the first time in over 10 years, a BioWare game would not feature this gaming staple. I mean, I can't even imagine what development on a BioWare game without romance options was like, except for the first 35 years of my life.
Okay, you guys are my best and brightest. And I know Anthem's taken a bit of a different direction than our previous games. No romanceable options, but I believe that we can still make characters that players will love. So, let's start with the quest givers.
I got an idea. So our main character, she starts off, she's a little bit shy, but she's also bubbly. And then by the end of the game, she opens up.
I love this, love it.
Oh yeah, and she can have these kind of playful, sassy moments as you get to know her. Oh, and I think her color scheme can be blue and purple.
Oh, and if you try to romance her, she'll die because she's allergic to the outside and it's a big part of her relationship.
Okay, this is good, guys. 2 things. 1, no romanceable options in Anthem. There's no romance. And 2, you just described Tally.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I hear it. Yep.
It's okay. We've made some great characters. Let's try an archetype like the Mentor.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing a soldier, right? A veteran, like he's seen some shit, he's been in the shit, but now he's got a leadership position, and sometimes he's got a bit of a temper.
I love this. I'm loving this.
Okay, yes, and he can have this really dreamy but like grizzled voice. Oh, and his pecs are out and they're huge, and he has these horns that you can grab and him, and in the cutscene he pins you up against a wall.
No. Okay. We were so close. There was some good stuff there. Good stuff, but 2 things. Again, 1, Iron Bull. That is Iron Bull. Already have that character. Number 2, there is no sex in Anthem.
Oh, what are we doing here?
No sex. Okay, let's not worry about the NPCs. Let's go for the main character.
All right, hear me out. We're gonna go with the freelancer. This is not gonna be your ordinary hero. Instead, they're gonna be someone who has to come to grips with the fact that they failed their first mission. But do they give up? No. Instead, they persevere because that's human spirit. And that's an anthem in which we can get behind.
This is good. This is good. That's what I'm talking about. This is great.
There's more though. I'm not done. The best part is, they'll be playing in a crotchless exosuit, so it makes it easy to get it on! Yeah!
Get it on!
Get it on! Get it on!
Okay, in all seriousness, let's actually talk about Frostbite for a hot second. Frostbite was implemented in Dragon Age Inquisition and later in Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem. The reason? Soderlund wanted all of EA studios to use the same technology and wanted to save money on third-party engine licensing fees. But this didn't mean Frostbite was a walk in the park. An anonymous source would say to US Gamer, Frostbite is wonderful for rendering and lots of things, but one of the key things that makes it really difficult to use is anything related to animation, because out of the box, it doesn't have an animation system. So would building a from-the-ground-up multiplayer in Frostbite make it somewhat easier? No! Sure, Frostbite made everything look good, but nothing within it was good, like poison dart frogs, carob chips, and narcissists. As development continued in Frostbite, more and more of Anthem's creative elements, including crafting and survival, were cut due to the difficulty of Frostbite and the frustration that came with bugs. Not only did Frostbite cause an insurmountable lot of them, but the process to remedy said bugs would allegedly take several days of back and forth conversations. As it developed in Frostbite, Anthem began to take on more and more aspects of looter shooters like Destiny, despite Destiny becoming that which shall not be named at BioWare. According to Kotaku and Jason Schreier, a few people who worked on the game said that trying to make comparisons to Destiny would elicit negative reactions from studio leadership. But it's hard not to compare when games like Destiny were at the top of the market BioWare was trying to compete in, similar to how other studios would look to BioWare's Mass Effect and Dragon Age for the best in the narrative RPG market. And speaking of Frostbite and Mass Effect, it's time for Mass Effect Andromeda to release. Yay. On March 21st, 2017, Mass Effect Andromeda ships and performs poorly. The next big chapter in their most beloved franchise tanked. So, now the pressure was on Dylan's shoulders. Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, Papa EA shut down the Montreal BioWare offices. Now all that remained was Edmonton, the lead studio, and Austin, which had now been recruited to help finish Anthem. But there was some good news for the Anthem team. Remember that demo that needed an overhaul? Well, within 6 weeks, the art was reworked, the demo was polished, and most importantly, the flying system that was once removed was officially back in business. It was the one thing that set Anthem apart from other games in its genre, and Soderlund loved it. That demo will go on to serve as the base of the game's reveal at E3 2017, but it wasn't all space, sunshine, and cosmic rainbows for long. E3 2017 would bring its own unique hurdle to Anthem's development, its naming. Now at this point in time, Anthem was still called Beyond. In fact, Beyond shirts had already been printed for BioWare staff, but EA found that the trademark would be too difficult. So the leadership team was pushed to pick one of their backups. And so that's how we got Anthem. I'm just glad I didn't have to fall back on my backup. Had X-Play not worked out, I would have become a professional snake milker. Smilk.
We need to charge up our power suit one last time before finishing the tale of Anthem.
So while we do that, enjoy this commercial break.
And no, there are no romance options.
This commercial break has no romance options? What the hell?
But they're coming in the next patch.
Great.
Also more loot boxes.
Motherfucker. It's getting really weird out there.
How weird?
Honey pie, whatever. The booby game. It's happening!
Gerard looks like a level 9,000 Discord mod.
Oh yeah, dude, let's go.
Oh my God, you killed Kirby!
Ella.
We're comfortable with our sucking.
Some say I've sucked my entire life.
We give X-Play a 5 out of 5.
I hope you'll do better next time.
Welcome back to X-Play.
We're heading into the finale of our secretish history of Anthem.
At least we think it's the finale.
All the segments kind of just blend together and ultimately feel like meaningless gunfights and fetch quests after all.
Let's see if fans like the rest of our show more than they like paying $60 for Anthem.
While Anthem's visuals and gameplay wowed fans, there was something missing. And no, it wasn't their original name. It was any semblance of narrative, from one of the most well-known narrative gaming companies. But behind the scenes and behind the piles of Beyond t-shirts, Anthem was still in pre-production. In fact, not even some of the game's fundamentals had been figured out yet. Next would come a rapid succession of onboarding and offboarding for not only Anthem, but BioWare itself. Aaron Flynn, BioWare's general manager, departed the company after 17 years. But what was the most interesting about his departure was that if he left, Casey Hudson would return. Key talent was leaving, Anthem was on the line, and Dragon Age 4 was enduring its own unique set of battles. Along with the return of Hudson, Mark Darrah also joined the Anthem team and began to usher the studio towards one single goal: ship the game. However, Anthem would be hit by another blow. On July 31st, 2017, Corey Gasper, the lead designer of Anthem, tragically passed away. Gasper had worked as a designer on Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age Origins, and Mass Effect 3, with Anthem being his first lead designer project. And amongst all this, Anthem was supposed to launch in 2018, which was only 3 months away. EA would announce in January of 2018 that Anthem would be pushed back to 2019 due to scheduling. And thus began one of the most stressful years in BioWare's history, according to Jason Schreier. Drew Karpyshyn left BioWare entirely, less than a year after he was added to Anthem. And while we've mentioned several big names throughout this video, there were also a number of highly skilled BioWare developers that left throughout Anthem's development and Andromeda's failure, and that would be its legacy. So what else would 2018 have in store? Well,
now, Sessler, I wouldn't be a good shooter guy if I let you alone talk about Anthem, because I actually have a personal connection to this game.
Oh, by all means, the Black Okage. Please, take it away.
Now, just for transparency purposes, I think it's important to state that my name is in the game's credits, as I did do some consultation on Anthem, which still feels really cool, but I use the term consultation loosely because BioWare did not listen. Back in 2018, BioWare flew out creators to EA Studios in Vancouver and Sweden to play Anthem early. From my perspective, I could sense the lack of confidence early on. There was a definitive lack of direction. I expected to play a build that was nearly done, and we'd just be testing it to give advice on how to further polish the game. Instead, we played a very early build for hours that was buggy and unoptimized, and then they ended the day sitting us at a large table with developers debating on what worked and what didn't. It was strange to see one of my favorite studios known for pushing the needle on the RPG genre now just chasing trends, which was pretty much how the public reacted to it once the game was released on February 22nd, 2019. Anthem was quickly met with mixed reviews across the board and was not the groundbreaking, timeless game its developers had hoped it would be. Now, Anthem wasn't all bad. The game featured beautiful surroundings for the player to explore and a creative and well-designed javelin suits that each came with their own unique sets of strengths and weaknesses. But what stood out most was its flight system. No game, not even Marvel's Avengers, had accomplished making you feel like Iron Man better than Anthem. The flight system was fun, intuitive, and literally the best part of the game. But sadly, the rest was not so great. I mean, the main gameplay loot and shoot loop was not rewarding. Loot was often inconsistent, and the game featured a massive lack of content. For a game that wanted to deliver a deeper and richer narrative experience compared to Destiny, well, I can't even recall naming one NPC from the game. Hell, I don't even remember the narrative. Characters would drop information during missions, so you'd completely miss those meaty plot elements if you were just busy talking to your friends. And just like Andromeda, the game was sadly not optimized at launch. The PC version of Anthem would often drop frames, especially during crucial moments when you and a teammate would perform combo attacks. Overall, Anthem really did have so much potential. It just needed more time in the BioWare oven. Look, no one likes an unbaked cake, and you know why? Because it's runny, gritty, and you kind of taste the egg. And also the salmonella. After its rocky release, Anthem experienced another set of delays for its post-launch content. Originally scheduled to release in May, Cataclysm, a limited-time event featuring new story missions, challenges, and more, was finally released in August of that year. Cataclysm was Act 1 of 3 scheduled acts in the game's post-launch update structure. That was until September, literally a month later, when Act 2 and 3 were canceled in favor of seasonal updates. According to the team, there were too many core issues and systems to fix within the base game itself. Chad Robinson, the head of live service for Anthem, would go on to say, "We hear your concerns on the core issues in Anthem and are acting on it. In order to address these long-range plans, we are moving away from the act structures for updates. Instead, we have additional seasonal updates planned for this year that we think players will enjoy." So October brought on the Season of Skulls seasonal event, which was basically a reskin of Cataclysm. Shards were still used as seasonal currency, the Cataclysm was still being run, but oh, guess what? The enemies now have spooky skulls on their head instead. Big whoop. It's equivalent to a show painting their set and then telling you it's a whole new thing. Season of Icetide quickly followed that December, and it seemed like more seasonal updates were on the way. That was until February 2020 when it was announced that seasonal updates had been canceled as well in favor of a reinvention of the game. That's right. Anthem was getting a gameplay revamp similar to Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, so an incubation team of 30 individuals would head Anthem's rework. When asked about the revamp, Christian Daly, the BioWare Austin studio director, said, "And yes, the team is small, but the whole point of this is to take our time and go back to the drawing board, and a small team gives us the agility a larger one can't afford." That was until 2021. Are you sensing a trend here? BioWare announced on February 24th, 2021, 1 year after their confirmed revamp, that the project was scrapped, canned, shot out of the interstellar trash compactor into space itself. Sure, the team would continue to support the live servers, but BioWare would be turning its company's full attention and energy to future Mass Effect and Dragon Age projects. And so, as the sun rose on BioWare's beloved franchise, so did the sunset on BioWare's biggest gamble and biggest failure. And we're already seeing EA and BioWare learning from Anthem's missteps. That same February, it was announced that Dragon Age 4's multiplayer elements would be shelved in favor of dedicated single-player gameplay. Thankfully, we won't be getting Anthem with Dragons, as some BioWare developers called it. I do feel bad for the multiverse that does.
In the end, BioWare got its wish. Anthem would be the game fans did reference. BioWare's messy and unrewarding venture into online multiplayer looter shooters. For a long time, BioWare had survived on the internal company idea of BioWare magic. To quote Jason Schreier, this was, quote, "a belief that no matter how rough a game's production might be, things will always come together in the final months." That, in the very end, with enough blood, sweat, and tears, an amazing game would release. The Mass Effect trilogy saw it, the Dragon Age franchise saw it, but it seems like there just wasn't enough magic left for Anthem. But maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this will challenge BioWare and EA leadership to rethink production practices for their teams for Dragon Age 4, the upcoming Mass Effect game, and whatever else lies on the golden horizon for BioWare. Look, here's the thing. BioWare isn't the same as it used to be. Most of the people who work to make the games and series you love aren't there anymore. Them's the breaks. But that doesn't mean that the potential to make great games isn't there. All of us here at XPlay share a love of BioWare's games, and we really hope that the teams they have now are able to reclaim their gold standard RPG status once again. Just please no gratuitous sex scenes like in Andromeda.
That's our episode. We hope you learned something.
And if what you learned is that you made a good decision never dropping cash on Anthem, then we're okay with that.
In contrast, our YouTube content is totally free. All we ask is hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of your time to help out that algorithm.
And we'd love to hear from you, so jump into our Discord or chat on our live streams every week on Twitch and YouTube if you have something to say.
We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Today on XPlay, we use the James Webb Telescope to look far into deep space and discover our Outer Worlds review. Plus, there's a new Star Trek game that does what Star Trek does best: conversations in hallways. And finally, whatever happened to Star Fox Adventures? My bathing suit area from middle school wants to know. It's game time.
Hello and welcome to XPlay.
There's an expansive space game that we here at XPlay cannot stop thinking about.
You know the one we mean.
The Outer Worlds.
Look, before we got to look at Starfield, we spent our days using a mind control ray to make mega primals squish mini primals.
Which is a sentence that will make way more sense after our review.
Check it out.
We've currently found ourselves in a summer of space gaming announcements. Space horror, space RPGs, space comedy, you name it. And I get it, space sounds like a hell of a lot better place to be than on Earth right now. But there was one space game we didn't hear any updates about during the June 2022 gaming showcases. It was Obsidian's The Outer Worlds 2. The Outer Worlds 2 was officially announced during the 2021 Xbox Gaming Showcase to the surprise of many fans. Literally. People thought they were seeing a trailer for Fable before they noticed the sprats in the spacesuits. And with all those space games on the brain, we here at XPlay decided it's time to do a retro review of The Outer Worlds. And also, since we mentioned it in our star-filled gameplay breakdown video, and who better to do it than XPlay's resident space whore and also shooter guy? Let's dive in. The Outer Worlds is a bit different than your Mass Effects and your Destinies. It's more of a stylized space western set in the dystopian alternate future of the United States where the corporations own everything, including your body in the cemetery after you die. But how did this future happen? Well, I'm glad you asked. See, in the alternate history of the Outer Worlds, in 1901, President William McKinley was not assassinated at the Pan American Exposition. Thus, his Vice President Theodore Roosevelt did not become president. So, in this full McKinley presidential term, he never passed antitrust laws preventing monopolies and regulating business conduct. So thanks to all of this, a mega-corporation class-based society formed during a pivotal point in the US history, and after almost 400 years, a group of these corporations left the Earth to go to one place where their capitalistic fingers had not reached. Space! We find these corpo colonies on the verge of collapse thanks to the poor mismanagement of their leaders, aka the Board. You enter the story as the Stranger, a sole survivor frozen in time aboard the Hope, a ship of the brightest minds thought to be lost. Throughout your journey across planets and space stations, you uncover why these space settlers are suffering. And ultimately, you have the opportunity to positively impact or absolutely ruin the Halcyon colonies and the future of the Outer Worlds themselves as you see fit. If this reimagining of American history and hyper-stylization seems familiar to the Fallout series, that's because The Outer Worlds was helmed by the original Fallout creators Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky. And just like the original Fallout games and other Obsidian titles, it's the dialogue that really shines throughout this game. The writers and the developers built an incredible and detailed setting. Each corporation has its own catchy jingle. Terminal entries help paint an absurd yet depressing world, and companions have fleshed out histories and personal aspirations. And of course, NPCs are chock full of lore and ridiculous dialogue.
Well worth all the sacrifices Wait. What the is this? Is this French? I can't read French.
Another big element of The Outer Worlds is its choices and consequently, its freedom in the gameplay. There are no essential NPCs in this game, so if you really feel like it, you can blow out enemies, towns, hell, even companions without the game completely ending on you. But on the opposite end of the Rizzo spectrum, it's nearly impossible to beat The Outer Worlds in a no-kill mode. While there is a level of RPG creativity and choice around the missions and how you play the game, it's not just a blank canvas that you can paint any way you want. There are borders that you have to stay within and some colors on the palette that you have to use. For instance, once you start The Outer Worlds, you can immediately approach the board and turn in Phineas Wells, the scientist working with you to save the Hope colonist, who is also one of the most wanted individuals in the Halcyon system. Once you place a tractor on Phineas's computer, this doesn't abruptly result in his arrest and end the game. Instead, Sophia, one of the members of the board, just keeps an eye on Phineas and the game continues until you end up in the final mission. But for the most part, all the quests offer creative choices on how you approach them, who to side with, and etc. You can take a stealthy approach, you can diplomatically assess the situation, or go in guns blazing. And these quests can range from you recovering extra medicine and deciding who gets it, to literally stumbling into an audition for an epic space serial. In every instance, your choices do have some level of impact, which allows for a good amount of replayability. Both me and our producer Emily had two different experiences. I obliterated nearly half of the Halcyon colony's population and didn't even recruit all of the companions, while she tried to make friends with everyone and was focused on getting the good ending. Two different playstyles with two mostly different adventures. Another thing The Outer Worlds does right is its level design and scope. It's not too big and it's not too small. It's just right. The game's semi-open world format gives you just enough wiggle room to explore without feeling overwhelmed, unlike a lot of other open world RPGs can do nowadays. The pristine streets of Byzantium are vastly different from the rough and tumble town of Edgewater. I don't feel the same level of excitement when I'm exploring vast, empty worlds of other space RPGs. I'm looking at you, Mass Effect Andromeda. But sadly, combat is a different matter. While the gunplay and melee options are serviceable, the combat overall would benefit from some variety. For a space RPG, you'd think there would be more ways to fight outside your typical shooter standards. Sure, there are a few unique science weapons if you seek them out, but where are my stealth kills, or even grenades? And this basic combat makes the game's difficulty, well, not difficult. I was able to wipe out full towns with basic weapons, and my few companions' ultimates without too much trouble. Now there's one more aspect of the game that we need to talk about. Its port. That's right. The Outer Worlds, which was mostly released on console and PC, received a port on the Nintendo Switch in 2020, so I think we all know what time it is. Greetings, nerds. Welcome back to the Port Report. And as always, I'm your anchor, the Black Hokage, here to give you all the latest news on all the oldest games. So let's get right into it. The Outer Worlds on the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, it's not that great. That's it. Wait, that's it? Y'all called me in here for that? What a waste of time. Despite its shortcomings, The Outer Worlds is a killer creative and compelling space western RPG that you won't forget. And underneath its comedic veneer, it asks a deeper question of us all. Despite the odds, do you fight to make the world a better place for everyone? Or do you simply just give up, acknowledging that it's too late and only do things to save yourself? I'll let y'all think about that for a bit, but for now, we here at XPlay give The Outer Worlds a 4 out of 5.
This unit is programmed to simulate shock at such assertions.
Okay, so now that you know our thoughts about The Outer Worlds, we thought we'd share some things that we'd love to see added to its upcoming sequel, The Outer Worlds 2. First things first, we want to see more combat variety. Give me grenades, give me big crazy weapons, give me, I don't know, a space crossbow, or at least the ability to stealth kill or simply knock out enemies. More tools at the player's disposal can ultimately create a richer experience that challenges players mentally. It would also be cool to see expanded physical combat abilities, like maybe some kind of scientific Sith lightning, or an expanded combat skill tree that allows me to unlock a super jump. The second thing, let's streamline that inventory. Inventory management was a bit of a pain in the first game, so seeing a more efficient system would do wonders. Also, it might just be me, but for a starving colony, I always had way too many consumables on me that I hardly used thanks to not having to heal myself as much. Third, romance options. So what we really want here is... Emily, no, I'd stop. I can't read this.
What's wrong, TBH? Do you not like the script? Everything okay?
Look, I know you want me to sit here and go on and on about the potential romance options that can be in The Outer Worlds 2, but honestly, I think I can use my time better talking more about other features you want to see in the game instead.
Sure. You know what? It's all good. I totally get it. We don't have to go into 3 paragraphs graphically detailing my dream romance system for The Outer Worlds 2, and in particular, Vicar Max.
Great. I just don't think we need to get into all these details. It's a little too graphic. You got too much going on there, Emily.
Okay. Okay.
Great. Moving on to number 4. More meaningful choices. The Outer Worlds is all about choice, and in this next one, I'd like to see those elements redefined even more. More choices for quests, more meaningful repercussions for my actions, and as I mentioned earlier, I played the entire game killing most of the NPCs, even the important ones, but the only thing it felt like I missed out on were some dialogue options. And even when I made choices that didn't line up with my companions' beliefs, it would take me literally killing their parents in order for them to leave me. More impactful choices all around would really place The Outer Worlds 2 leagues beyond its Starfield and Mass Effect 5 siblings. Right next to choice is number 5, customization. I'm talking character creation, I'm talking armor options. Give us a lot more perks and level up abilities to choose from. Hell, even a third-person gameplay mode so I can see the character that I made. I want to witness them disintegrating characters while rocking an insane Spacer's Choice moon mask. What are you doing? How long have you been standing there? Why?
It's clear that the retro sci-fi open world subgenre is alive and well, and posted up constantly by Emily in our Discord.
Hey, people like it!
Which reminds me, jump into our G4 Discord server, poke around in there during these messages right now.
And make a thread called Fallout 4 is better than New Vegas. Prove me wrong if you really want to see sparks fly.
I heard that. Also, New Vegas is way better than Fallout 4.
We'll be right back.
This is how radicalization starts!
A new era for the LCS.
And it never felt this good to be bad. Evil Geniuses are your LCS champions.
Welcome back to X-Play.
We continue our journey into deep space.
This time with an overly sexy cat lady.
And we're not talking about the Ubisoft Avatar game either.
Yet. Please don't get delayed. Please don't get delayed. Please don't get delayed.
Star Fox Adventures rocked the world of an entire generation of young gamers, and then the franchise was never seen again.
Why was it only a one-game wonder? Pay attention. Class is in session.
Do a barrel roll.
Jake, Joe, I'm glad you guys made it to another class.
I mean, we kind of paid to be here.
What's today's lesson, man?
I'm glad you asked. Today we're going to be talking about ethics, boys.
Oh, shit, that sounds like an actual lesson.
Indeed, Jake. Specifically, we're going to be discussing the ethics of why they only made one Star Fox Adventures.
What the actual...
Dude, I was gonna give you a pass if you said, like, Brutal Legend or something, but Star Fox Adventures?
Are you saying that Crystal is not a baddie?
What? No.
I still have complicated feelings about her to this day.
Oh, same. I'm just saying it's not really a one-off and it's, you know, not very good. I mean, they made another Star Fox game like 3 years later.
But it wasn't Star Fox Adventures 2.
Because no one liked it.
I liked it! Are you saying that I'm a nobody?
Yes.
I should give you an F for hurting my feelings.
Okay, well, we're gonna fail anyway because you haven't taught us shit.
You're right, Jake. That's the smartest thing you said all day. Let's start with exactly is Star Fox Adventures.
Oh, dear.
Come on.
Star Fox Adventures originally began life as an original IP for the Nintendo 64. Developer Rare was on a run for making banger after banger for the N64. Star Fox 64, Rare. Conker's Bad Fur Day, Rare. Perfect Dark, it was Rare.
We get it. They make bangers.
Made, Jake. They made bangers.
I mean, I don't know. Sea of Thieves is pretty good.
Nobody asked you, Joe. After taking a long look at the progress the team had made on their new IP, Shigeru Miyamoto noted that the character designs looked incredibly similar to those in Star Fox. So he suggested that instead of making a new IP, they repurpose their work into a Star Fox game for their then upcoming GameCube. The result was Star Fox Adventure, which, fun fact, was the last collaboration between Rare and Nintendo before the studio was brought out by Microsoft.
Dude, skip the history lesson. Why are we talking about this game?
Yeah, what did it do that was so great that you're subjecting us to this bootleg TED Talk about it?
Well, I'll tell you right after this. Pop quiz! What was the original name of the Star Fox Adventures? A. World of Dinosaurs. B. Raptor Rampage. C. Dinosaur Planet. Or D. Jurassic Land. The correct answer is C. Dinosaur Planet. While they took the Dinosaur Planet out of the name, they didn't take the Dinosaur Planet out of the game. Star Fox Adventures is literally set on Dinosaur Planet. Is that not enough for you?
No.
Heartless. Star Fox Adventures was a notable departure from the gameplay previously established in the franchise. As Fox and Crystal, you explore various dungeons, solve puzzles, collect items, and gain new abilities to help you explore further areas.
It was the Legend of Star Fox Ocarina of Space-Time.
It was so much more than that, damn it! While the game predominantly focused on its adventure mode, there are still R-Wing levels that give you that classic Star Fox gameplay. Star Fox Adventures was a definite shift in the formula, but it still made an effort to maintain what fans loved about the franchise. Sure, the game did share some similarities with Ocarina of Time, but if you're gonna steal from another game, you could do a whole lot worse than Ocarina of Time. The dungeon designs were pretty solid. The Cloud Runner Fortress, it's actually pretty cool. The first wide expanse the game allows you to explore is a perfect introduction to the new adventure-based gameplay in the franchise.
Well, there's your first problem right there. Why is there adventure-based gameplay in my flying game?
Just because Star Fox Adventures wasn't like the other games doesn't inherently make it bad.
State facts and shit.
The combat was solid. If you don't think a space fox using a bow staff is cool, you're a literal monster. The game doubled down on the Saturday morning cartoon vibe that was already present in the series, and most importantly, Crystal is a baddie. Personally, I thought it was cool to see a fox doing stuff outside of a ship. Y'all were okay with him throwing hands with Kirby, but suddenly exploring a dinosaur planet's too much?
No one was asking for it.
And no one was asking for you to still be here, Joe!
Whoa, that's a little unnecessary.
No, what's unnecessary is my wife leaving me for a buff-ass Jamaican dude with a nice smile and a whole ruler in his pants. How am I supposed to compete with that? I'm just your average professor.
I didn't need to know any of that.
What am I supposed to tell my parents I'm learning in school?
I
can't tell them that.
Pop quiz! What was the name of the Star Fox adventure villain? The answer is General Scales!
Oh, look. Professor's back. How lovely of you to join us, Professor.
I'm sorry, Jake. It's just that part always gets me emotional, man. I know you're probably wondering why there wasn't a Star Fox Adventure 2.
Not really. I have more questions about that ruler.
Despite what the years of revisionist history might tell you, Star Fox Adventures actually came out to decent reviews in 2002. While the game's graphics received mixed reception for looking like a hybrid of N64 and GameCube games, the new gameplay mechanics were the most divisive. Some folks found the adventure to be a welcome change of pace, while others were upset to pick up a Star Fox game that didn't focus on what they loved about the previous Star Fox games. Sales-wise, the game did okay enough to get a player's choice release, but it didn't catch on the way Star Fox 64 did. It's a shame, too, because there were actually some really great ideas in this game. Does it completely stick its landing? No, but I'm not gonna sit here and let y'all act like this was an unmitigated disaster. It's the one and only Star Fox game that isn't just a copy-paste of the other Star Fox games. And it's kind of funny that Mr. Nostalgia over here is getting mad. A game is trying something new.
He got you there.
This is the definition of the worst person you know, making a pretty decent point.
A sequel to Star Fox Adventures could have iterated on the adventure, added more R-Wing combat, and given us more of what everyone loves, shopkeeper. Welcome to my store.
That guy reminds me of someone.
I thought Star Fox Adventures was a really cool concept, and the fact that we didn't get another one because of people like you, it makes me sick.
What was that? The end of class, or?
I think so.
Professor Cho, Dinosaur Planet.
You know, they changed the name to Saria, right? And did you just yell your name?
And you know you failed this class, right?
You know, I don't think the credits from that class will transfer to any college anywhere.
Ah, so it's like film school.
I stand corrected. It's not that bad.
After the break, we head where no one has gone before.
Good Star Trek game?
Come on, tell me you didn't get blitzed and play Star Trek Bridge Crew for the best time of your life.
Okay, yeah. A second good Star Trek game?
We'll find out right after the break. It's getting really weird out there.
How weird?
Oh my God, you killed Kirby!
We give X-Play a 5 out of 5. I hope you'll do better next time.
Welcome back to X-Play.
Star Trek Resurgence is attempting to bring the Telltale Games magic to Starfleet, and I think they might just pull it off.
And we finally have a chance to make Spock disappointed in us.
Here's our first look.
Hey everybody, GB here for G4, and I am joined by the cinematic director for Star Wars, my God. We just finished Fresh Ink, that's why. And I was like, keep that there.
Hello there. I don't think that really adds up.
Keep that in the cut. Star Trek, I'm a big Trekkie, by the way, which is comedy. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? GB here for G4, and we're here with Star Trek Resurgence. We had these guys over at the studio a while ago, and I'm joined by Kent, who's the cinematic director for Star Trek Resurgence. Now, first and foremost, as a Trekkie, okay, I just want to thank you for this game, because we need more games in the next generation era. But you were with us before in the studio, and what has changed since we last talked to you, since you last spoke to Gerard?
Well, last time I think we just had the trailer at the time. Yeah. So we're still working on the game. Way more of it is done. We have new stuff to show off here today. We get to meet some aliens for diplomacy, and you get to fly a space shuttle.
So let's actually dive into the a little bit of the story, if you don't mind, because if I'm correct, this takes place in that next generation era, correct?
Yeah, it takes place roughly after Nemesis, so before the Romulan supernova, in kind of a stretch of time that hasn't really been explored very much. And it deals with a ship that had a disaster. Its crew is coming back to go on a new mission, and there's a new first officer and an engineer. You get to play as them and see the story of a Star Trek crew from two different perspectives.
Now, we've been seeing a lot of Star Trek games like try and tackle like multiplayer and stuff. Why did it feel so important for you guys to delve into the single player narrative, to really tell a more personalized story?
Well, the DNA of Star Trek is storytelling. Like all the Star Trek will have, it's shows and movies and things. And a lot of games haven't tried to capture that experience of being in a story and meeting characters and making interesting decisions and befriending aliens and that kind of stuff. So that aspect of Star Trek felt unmined in the interactive space. Yeah. And so that's where we came in.
How did it feel? You get the call, we're going to do a Star Trek game. Were you a Trek fan beforehand, or was this like something that you would learn more about as you started to work on the game and really dive into the nitty-gritty of it?
I would say I was a casual Trek fan before, like Abrams movies and the newer stuff. And then since getting on the project, I've delved and consumed so much of it, I get it now, right? Like I understand, like, oh, this is why people like Star Trek. So I came to love it more over time, and I've read so many Star Trek wiki pages. I see them when I close my eyes. It's amazing. It's a huge license. You know, you thanked us. It's an honor for us to get to work with this amazing license to do something in this universe.
I just, like, again, it's for me, it's so great to see more games in Star Trek universe, because the universe is just ripe with so many unique stories that you can tell. And yes, we always focus on the Enterprise and her crew and everything that surrounds that. So I will be remiss if I did not ask, will we see any familiar faces from Next Generation potentially showing up in Resurgence?
Well, we've already confirmed that Spock shows up in the game. We have Ambassador Spock after his tenure on the starships. You get to hang around with him for a lot of the game. He looks fantastic. We worked really hard to get him exactly on license in the visuals and the writing and the voice acting. He's the cameo we revealed so far.
Oh, revealed so far?
Maybe more.
Oh, there may be more. Okay. So if you had to give the elevator pitch to someone who, you know, like yourself, right, or beforehand, was a casual fan of Star Trek coming into this for the first time, what's the elevator pitch? Why should people, you know, dive in headfirst into Star Trek Resurgence?
They should dive into Star Trek Resurgence. They want to play an adventure game, experience a high-quality cinematic story in a unique sci-fi setting where you get to make a lot of decisions and build relationships as part of a starship crew.
And my final question, will we get to control some ships?
You will get to control some ships.
You're my best friend. So how far along is the game at this point? Like, I know you guys said 2022 release.
A lot of the content is done. We're working on a lot of finishing, you know, spit shine, technical things, lighting.
Wow, I love the reflections on the floor.
But we've got a lot of stuff done.
Oh my God! I mean, like,
period-appropriate transporter effects.
Yep, it is 100%. And also the shuttles too.
Yeah, if you look inside that one right there, we got it exactly as it was in the show.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Yeah. We're trying to mix some like DS9 and TNG stuff together. We have still the wood paneling on stuff, but also a lot of chrome and still carpeted floors.
Show strength or show deference?
What do you want to do before the Queen?
You know what? I shall show deference.
Very polite of you.
I feel like that if I was a Federation officer, this is what I would do. But I definitely think that I would be on the lower decks.
The lead writer, Dan, one of his favorite episodes of Star Trek Next Generation is Lower Decks, which is about all the people working in the low part of the ship.
Yeah.
So we really wanted a character that was that, because it's a lesser seen perspective in Star Trek.
Okay.
But also you can't not have the stuff happening on the bridge.
Yeah.
So that's the result of letting play as the first officer.
Yeah. The landing parties.
Yeah. So you want to be a part of the important big decisions, but also
of course,
you actually get to make choices as the higher ranked character that affects what the lower ranked character has to go through. Because you sometimes might have to carry out orders that you've given.
That was super cool.
Heck yeah.
That was super cool.
And we have one more scene for you. We get to fly a shuttle around a little bit.
We get to fly! Impulse power, full steam ahead. I just gotta avoid these asteroids.
Yeah, this one's pretty simple. We might give you some more complex stuff to avoid in other bits, but.
And how many of these, is this an often occurrence that you're out in space actually doing things?
This happens a few times. We have a couple gameplay mechanics, we have shuttle flying, we have some cover shooting, we have some tricorder scanning, and they sort of happen intermittently throughout the game, where it makes the most sense to tell the story with that gameplay type.
This is so Star Trek, bro.
That's it.
That's so good. Dude, thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
That's our show.
A reminder that the prime directive to not interfere with civilizations does not extend to the XPlay YouTube channel.
Feel free to click subscribe buttons and bells all you want.
And if you accidentally create a societal collapse, just tell Starfleet that the Klingons did it.
See you next time.
Peace.
Today on XPlay, we go hands-on with the new Warhammer game and we'll never get the blood stains out of Golden Boy's clothes. Plus, we dive deep on the future of conventions and debate which non-sports game is the best one. I don't have an opinion because EA never made that Madden hot dog eating game I keep emailing them about. Hot dogs for the hot dog god. It's game time!
Hello and welcome to XPlay.
We follow the rule of speak softly and carry a big chainsword.
And that's without the speaking softly part.
Warhammer 40k Darktide builds on what Vermintide wanted to accomplish to bring a new visceral co-op experience to the Warhammer universe.
You can almost smell the unwashed space leather from here.
Check out our first look.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? GB here, and we're about to get a first look at Warhammer 40k Darktide, the new game from Fat Shark Studios. You may know them as the guys who made Warhammer Vermintide. Really great game. This one, even better. It's something you're definitely going to want to watch. And then we also get an opportunity to talk with the dev as well. It's all good stuff. Check it out. I'm joined by Victor, who is the head of design at Fat Shark for Warhammer 40k Darktide. This game is awesome. We actually had a chance to play it. Super fun game. So actually, we did dive into a mission where we were running around. We had to like get these batteries, put them into this like ammunition crate or something like that. I guess kind of give us the lay of the land of like the type of experiences that fans could be looking forward to in a game like this, because it's a co-op shooter. So what should we be looking forward to? Like missions like that, like collect and retrieve missions, slaying missions, what kind?
We have a number of different types of mission types, as we call it, and they're all focused on cooperation. So the reason why you sort of have one guy carrying something and the rest have to protect him, we try to come up with the different mechanics that works similar to that. So like while one person is doing something, the other ones should be like holding his back, watching out for the enemies and stuff like that. The true core of both Vermintide and Darktide is cooperation. Like co-op, we're so focused on co-op. So another mechanic we have is the interrogation that you also did, where you set this skull interrogator. Because a funny thing in the world of 40k, people don't actually understand how all the machines are working, because it's like all the machines are so old that it's been forgotten how they work. So it's only a few that actually know how they function, called the Mechanicus. So a normal person in the Warhammer 40k universe, they think it's basically magic. So they don't understand how this machine works. So they set this servitor skull on the machine, and it talks to the machine and sort of makes it work. But sometimes it breaks down, so you have to finish this little sort of mini game. Yeah. And while you're doing the mini game, your buddies have to protect you. We try to build in cooperation in everything that we do.
You guys had a lot of success from Vermintide. Huge hit. I was seeing it on Twitch all the time. Bunch of people playing it. The Warhammer franchise, it's so historic. It's been around for such a long time. But even then, it's still very much like I don't want to say like a niche, but it does have its like subsection of an audience. So were you shocked by the reception that Vermintide had with the creator community, with the gaming community, or did you know we made a solid game and we knew this thing was going to hit?
And we knew we had like the Warhammer fans. Like we knew we were creating a true Warhammer game with Vermintide, so we knew that would work. We always take the approach of we want this to be approachable by anyone. Like it should be so much fun and such a sort of good visceral experience that it shouldn't matter if you know what's going on. Like who are these people? What are these races and whatnot? At the same time as we go super deep on the lore. So if you are a fan, there's like lore to the nth degree. But you also have to be able to sort of understand what's going on, even if you know nothing about what's going on. Actually, that was sort of my role, because when we started out making Warhammer games, I knew very little about it. Like, I knew what like everybody knows, like, oh, okay, it's a cool tabletop game, but I never really dived deep into the sort of lore and stuff like that before. So I had that role at the company to sort of say, you know, guys, I don't understand what's going on anymore, so we sort of have to dial down the nerdiness or like the lore stuff here. Like, I don't know what's going on. So that's the approach we take. And it's been really cool seeing people playing Vermintide and getting into the lore that way, because it's very approachable. And like going on to Reddit and say like, hey, this Vermintide game is pretty cool. Is there any lore about this? They're like, yep, here's the list of the books you should read. Yeah. So yeah. So it's super cool. And we're doing the same thing with Darktide. Like you don't have to know anything about 40k. It's completely okay. It's a really kick-ass co-op game. But if you know a lot about 40k, we got you covered.
What would be like the required reading, if you will, to like kind of get up to speed if you happen to know?
We were working with a really famous Warhammer writer called Dan Abnett, and he's created a series called Eisenhorn, which is about inquisitors in Warhammer 40k. And
in our game, you also play as part of the Inquisition. So that will be a really good place to start. And it's also one of those stories that is a little bit more easily digestible because it also has the human aspect to the story. And it's not about like these gigantic space marines and stuff like that. It's more about normal people in the world of 40K. And that's also a sort of angle that we want to take. We want to tell the story of a normal soldier or a normal zealot type of person, like a normal human being. How would it be to be a normal person in a world where there are like Nurgle, chaos demons and stuff like that? How do you react and how do you survive? That's what the story we're trying to tell.
That being said, right, like you haven't worked on this game now for a while. How does it feel to finally be able to show it out to the world? And you know, how do you feel the reception has been from, you know, like the people here and also just, you know, from what you've been seeing online?
I mean, it was scary at first, you know, first time you don't know. We knew we had a good game, but it's always a bit scary. Like, and we're Swedish, so we're modest. So we're like, oh, yeah, maybe they don't like it, but the reception has been.
Swedes were very modest. So yeah, you're right.
But you know, the reception has been amazing. So it's and like seeing people play here, and it's about the first time anybody outside the office has actually played the game, apart from like maybe 2 or 3 people. So it's been really cool to see everybody's reactions and when they're like screaming, dying, and like, yeah, it's awesome. It's so much fun to see.
So have you now decided to collect some of the figurines you have? Have you been painting?
Yeah. Actually, I just started because I have 2 kids. They're 6 and 9, and I figured like, yeah, they're probably at the age where we can start doing this. So I bought a Tau army just like 2 weeks ago actually and started painting. And I have to say it's awesome. It's so much fun just to like, I love building first. It's so much fun just to sit there and like glue them together. And so, yeah, I've been enjoying it a hell of a lot actually. So I'm going to build a big army.
Yeah, whenever I try and get into arts and crafts, it's mostly just the crafts and then everything falls apart. So I'm very glad to see you doing. I got to put you in touch with a friend of our show, Shayna Baszler, professional wrestler. She loves Warhammer 40K. So we got to make this happen sometime. But hey, Victor, I want to thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. I appreciate the game. Where can people find the game? When does it come out? What platforms?
September 13th. Yeah. It's going to be on PC, Steam, and Xbox, Xbox X and S, and also on PC, Xbox. And it will be Game Pass day 1. So.
Oh. Game Pass day 1, baby. Love to see it, man. Victor, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Check out Warhammer Dark Tide, new co-op game from Fat Shark, the creators of Vermintide. So if you like that game, you're going to like this one too. You're going to like this one too, right? Safe to say.
We've got more show after the break.
We'll be talking about what E3 and game conventions might look like 40,000 years in the future.
Long lines and terrible food?
It's almost like you have a time machine, Gerard.
Oh, yeah. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Bye.
Welcome back to X-Play.
I remember when scoring a pass to E3 was instant credibility.
Holding that E3 badge was like getting in early on the next crypto. It was priceless on Wednesday and then worthless by Friday.
Things have been a little rocky for E3 in recent years.
It expanded from a purely industry and media expo into a fan-open event.
Big companies like Sony started to bail.
Then E3 went full Dreamcast and was discontinued entirely.
And now apparently it's coming back.
Is this a good thing or further proof that the bad guys are just better at winning?
Can't it be both? Let's find out.
Recently, it was announced that not only would E3 return in 2023, but it would also be produced by ReedPop, the company that is also in charge of producing PAX, New York Comic Con, and even Star Wars Celebration. Now, E3's purpose of vendor connections and premieres has somewhat become a thing of the past as more and more companies are moving towards their own digital showcases. So let's get into it.
I feel like the biggest issue with E3 and all of these is that they need to figure out what they want to be instead of trying to be all of them in one.
Right, but what we have now is a brand that has been put in someone else's hands. So I don't even know if, like, when you give someone an E3, what even comes with it anymore.
Well, I think Froska's right to a degree, right? Like, it needs to decide, is this a consumer show where fans of these brands can come together to play this stuff? Or is it designed for industry professionals to get early release insight onto what the holiday season that year will reflect? Because if you're trying to do both, which is what they tried to do in the last several years, one's gonna hurt the other.
I don't believe ReedPop, like, their purposes, the way they do PAX and other things, isn't about bringing in Sony and EA and all these people who have kind of fled E3. I mean, I don't think that there's any good reason to assume that it's going to return to what it once was.
I think what they could bring to the table, what differentiated PAX from E3 is they were more focused on the people. And to what he said, they need to figure out who they are. So maybe that's ReedPop's goal, to focus more on the people. Because when they did let the general public into E3, I remember that year, it was a cluster F. Because it was like the fans were kind of intertwining with the media, and it was just too much going on. So, like, if they could organize it and go in one specific direction, I'm not mad at it, as long as there is a direction.
Yeah. I'm just glad that monkeypox wasn't around that year, because like, we were all rubbing up against people we didn't want to.
I mean, it was interesting because in the years prior, like what you're saying, they had industry lines and media lines. And so you didn't even sometimes have to have
like a Disneyland fast pass.
Very much so. It was great. Oh, it was the good old days. But no, I mean, you didn't have to always have a press reservation. So I worked for a super small media company, Geek Girl Authority. And so we couldn't compete with the IGNs or the Polygons or the Kotakus. But when there was a press line, I could get in there with the rest of them. And so as the next year when E3 went public, that's when they really started emphasizing press reservations. And it just basically became like, it wasn't just press rooms for everyone anymore. It became very, very select. So it's like, I would love for this next E3 to be like, here's 2 days for industry and press, gets all your goods out, and then here's 2 days for public.
I mean, I think the question is, what is the press even going to cover that's outside of the PAX that we know? And I think the other, I don't want to call it the elephant, let's just call it the Keeley in the room. Summer Game Fest. He's done this quite successfully for the past 2 years, and that happens during the same week that many, not all, but many of the major publishers are putting out their digital showcases. That seems to work, and people don't seem to be complaining. Do you think there's something there that would cause people to shift from what's already been becoming an established format?
I think it's also kind of the format that we really want to digest that type of news in games, because one of the biggest advantages of going to an E3 or any sort of game convention like this is the ability to demo and actually sit down. But that used to be when games were mostly spread by word of mouth, or actually going to reading your PlayStation magazine or your Nintendo Power, whatever it was that you were getting reviews. Now everything is done online. That in Summer Games Fest, if you just throw up a bunch of trailers of games, people lose their mind. It then goes up on YouTube, and then that's how it spreads now. And I think, unfortunately, while I fully want a place of community where we can all be nerds, dress up, go to incredible panels, and like meet the incredible developers that are making their game, realistically, effort versus value, it's way too expensive for the actual value that you get out of it for how gaming information is being spread right now.
No, you're right.
The appeal of what the ESA could be doing with E3 is allowing room for the indie scene to kind of thrive, right? There always is IndieCade in the corner. There are some publishers that show up and bring indie titles, but given the size of E3 and the ESA and what they build for this event, it's expensive as hell to be an independent vendor to come and showcase your game and hope that the press that's supposed to be there to supercharge and share the news to the public can show up. It's too expensive.
It's expensive for the major publishers as well, and that's some of the key reasons. One of the the core reason that Sony pulled out is, I think the last time they were there, they had Spider-Man.
Yeah,
big Spider-Man.
And they're like, why did we spend all this money for this real estate in this hall for Spider-Man?
If you look
it
at
just doesn't make any sense.
It's funny because if you look at Sony's spending habits around that time, the years prior and the years after, it went from, oh, look at our huge showcase to we only brought Spider-Man to we brought nothing, because they were realizing, oh, we could still do the same amount of effective marketing without having to have a booth there.
And Spider-Man sales, in no way can you correlate them with its presence at E3 that year. It had everything to do with the press conference where they showed the game off, and millions of people had access to it, and obviously good marketing leading up to the launch of the game and it being a very good game.
Which is why I think it really needs to define itself away from marketing. Like, don't go away from your announcement trailers of sending a prepackaged video that someone can step up in front of, and you have like the main convention hall that fills up with all the people so they can see all the greatest things. It's streaming online. Like, do all of that. But you do not need to be revealing demo games at E3 if you're one of those major big AAA developers. I think it either needs to be about the panels, about lifting up the indie scene, especially as now with Unreal Engine 5, how good indie games are looking. We are going into the golden era of indie games. They look amazing.
I think the one thing that we all can easily say is that there does need to be some type of event like a Summer Games Fest.
It was weird without it.
Or like E3. And I think shout outs to Jeff Keighley for doing a great job with Summer Games Fest. It was really wonderful
celebrate
to go
the
and
culture.
check it out.
Yeah. Celebrate the culture.
I like Sessler talking about gaming conventions. He's like a general who's seen so much horror, nothing really surprises him anymore.
Oh, which explains the story he told me about the time he strangled a man to get a hands-on session time with Sly Cooper.
Games. Games are hell.
Don't go anywhere. The show will be much less grim right after this quick break.
So many memories.
Welcome back to X-Play.
We debate a lot on this show.
But it's nice to have hard evidence that my opinion is the correct one.
The audience decides who wins, and that's just as bad of an idea as it sounds.
Is Dance Dance Revolution the best non-sports game of all time? Or is it SSX Tricky?
Fight!
We're debating the best non-sports sports games in another installment that we like to call Head to Head, sponsored by Head & Shoulders. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology works day and night to protect against flakes, even between washes. It's never not working. Just like how our G4 hosts are never not debating. So today's debate, which non-traditional sports game is the best? Is it SSX Tricky or Dance Dance Revolution? Roll the title card, baby.
No cussing.
You heard the lady. No cussing. All right, here we go. Arguing in the corner for SSX Tricky is Gerard, the completionist, and arguing in favor of Dance Dance Revolution is the Black Hokage. Gerard, you're up first. Let's get the timer. Go.
I want to start out by reading an inspirational quote for all of us in the room here. And it goes like this.
Oh, no.
This speech is my recital. I think it's very vital. To rock a rhyme, that's right on time. It's tricky, it's the title. Here we go. SSX Tricky is one of the best games on the PlayStation 2 flat. This game is incredible. It's such a bummer that we did not get another one ever since in the way that the Tricky title specifically is. Now, that's what makes it so good, is Tricky. The fact that Run DMC's It's Tricky is integrated into the entire game from aesthetic perspective, from a specials perspective, from just having a great time. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's all about having fun, which is why it kind of fits in that category of non-sport game, right? It doesn't make fun of the fact that, you know, snowboarding isn't a sport. It obviously is, but you have so much more fun when it comes to making it tricky with SSX Tricky.
2,
Damn
1,
it,
there it is. Next up for the opening statement, we have the Black Hokage defending Dance Dance Revolution. Let's get some time on the clock and get your open statement out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world is facing an obesity problem. Everybody could be healthier. And if there's a game that can make us all healthier, it's Dance Dance Revolution. I mean, think about it. Between our waistlines and my fat head, DDR is going to be something that's going to shrink the waistlines. This is a game that not only is fun to play, but it's easy to follow and it has health benefits. This makes it easier for everybody around the world to follow it. Not only is that, but there's so many different dance styles, music styles that can be incorporated across different continents and countries so that it can have mass appeal. Not to mention, if we start doing competitive DDR, this could reinvigorate the life of the arcade. And who doesn't love more gaming? I mean, this is a show about gaming, ladies and gentlemen. So for me, I think DDR is just an easy choice when it comes to doing competitive, non-sports gaming type events. It's just a lot of money to be made, a lot of fun to be had.
Wow. Okay, so let's go on in and cue up Gerard. Gerard, you got the timer, and get your butt on.
First off, I want to point out that I play Dance Dance Revolution a lot, and I love it. It's a great game. I wouldn't argue, though, that it is a great non-sports game. It's basically just saying it's a game that's not sports-related in the same way that any game technically would be a non-great. Like, I should just say Final Fantasy VII Remake is a great non-sports game to take the category.
Stinging!
It's a sport in that it makes you sweat, but that's kind of where the buck stops. I have a question for you, TBH. Are you talking about the arcade version or the console version of Dance Dance Revolution?
The arcade. I think having that solid floor would be much better for competition.
I agree. In that case, I will not attack you in that point because everyone at home knows that the console versions of Dance Dance Revolution are a mere ghost attempting to become human when it comes to making the arcade experience great.
Time! Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think this might be the first time that I've ever been complimented in a debate. That reason alone should be the reason why I won. But let's say that's not enough. Dance Dance Revolution has unlimited content. There's so many different types of music that you can put into this game and compete to, and for that reason alone, it would make a great sport because it's sustainable, not just from a viewer's perspective, but from a business standpoint. Because in order for a sport to survive, at least on a high level, you have to make money. You have to please the corporate suits. I know it's not a fun thing to talk about, but I just think that's a better option. And then also, these Dance Dance Revolution competitions can be turned into events. Think of like Fortnite with like Travis Scott and all these artists that come through. You could turn it into a whole concert with live dancing. This would invigorate the crowd, get viral moments, and it would generate jobs. And a recession's coming, ladies and gentlemen. We need jobs.
Wow. I did not expect you to take this to you have more time. Are you good, or are you just gonna stare at the camera for 5 seconds?
You see my body.
I'm just gonna ask the question, wasn't he supposed to rebuttal against SSX Tricky?
I mean, it sounded like he just continued to reaffirm the point.
Yeah.
But it is now time for the closing remarks, the final closing statement. So let's go ahead and start with Gerard first. Put the time on the clock. 3, 2, 1. Close it. Tap.
SSX Tricky is one of the greatest games to come out of EA Sports Big. A true great game that has not received a console port in any way, shape, or form. And there are rumors that a possible remake is in the works, with old producers coming together with a possible spin-off or spiritual successor to SSX Tricky. Now, I'm very excited for it. I hope it comes out. I hope it's real. But if not, at the very least, this game is incredible. If you haven't got a chance to play it, I highly recommend it. It's so fun. Fun fact, has voice actors has actors in it that are like famous as hell. Like you have Lucy Liu voicing one of the main characters in the game. Very fun thing. At the very least, I will end this with a little bit of shade. Corey, do you play Dance Dance Revolution?
Ooh.
I dance in the mirror every day.
That's not playing Dance Dance Revolution. He doesn't play the game. He's not a gamer. I yield my time. I yield my time.
Here's the thing about SSX Tricky versus Dance Dance Revolution. Us millennials, us older crowd, we're familiar with SSX Tricky, but I could argue the game's just not really relevant with the younger crowd. Now, granted, these games both had their heyday around the same time, but here's the catch. DDR would appeal to the younger generation because dancing is a universal language. So once again, it'll be a much more sustainable sport. It's fun to watch. And then on top of that, you can premiere music and do all these different types of events. Now, I would like to use the last few seconds in my my little debate section here to say that in the last head-to-head, Frost cheated when she came with the whole PowerPoint presentation when it was supposed to be freestyling. And then that I said some of the best Star Wars content was outside of the mainline movies with Vader content. Anybody who's watched Kenobi recently, no spoilers, you know what I'm talking about. I just wanted to say I was right in the last one.
Wow.
And this is complete anarchy, a sham, and a setup.
Time.
We left it all in the field.
Wow.
And wait a minute, the results are still coming in. We have 8 seconds left, but it's an 80-20 split. Oh my God. And
Come on, chat. Come on, chat.
41.
Go, chat.
Come on, chat.
And that's it.
Know my body. Shout out to the chat for holding me down.
SSX Tricky
Wait, what's
walks
happening?
away with the win.
Whoa.
At the last second, the Black Hokage
This
has
is a
lost.
setup. I was winning.
Congratulations to Flawless Jay. How do you feel, man?
Feels good, man. Feels good.
We have a winner, and congratulations to the current king of soap, of shampoo. It is Gerard, the completionist. And remember, consistently using Head and Shoulders with every wash can help provide up to 100% of dandruff protection. Uses directed visible flakes with regular use. But that is going to do it for us here. Thank you so much for watching another head-to-head.
And that's our show. Tough luck, TBH.
I would have won if we didn't have to use those Dominion voting machines for our chat polls.
That is literally not how any of that works.
But I have thousands of hours of polling place security footage that begs to differ.
And where are you watching that?
YouTube. There's a lot of very interesting stuff on there.
Yeah, like our YouTube channel where we upload new videos every week.
I'm just asking the hard questions.
We'll see you next time.
DDR 2024. We're gonna take it back. Revolution is right in the title.
Goodbye. Just say goodbye.
For now.
What's up, nerds? Welcome to X-Play.
Cats will outlive us all.
They're like cockroaches with fur. They can survive anything.
Not the way I'd phrase it, but yeah, accurate.
The better question is, who's better to equip to navigate the dystopian future, huh? Humans?
Or adorable fur babies.
Congratulations. The answer is fur babies.
And there's one game breaking ground in playable camp mechanics.
We reviewed Stray. So here you go.
Yeah.
Gary?
The apocalypse is coming. This is something we all know, and I know it might feel like there's nothing that we can do to save ourselves, but that's okay, because if playing through Stray, the simple yet stunning new puzzle platformer from Annapurna Interactive has taught me anything, it's that humans are not this planet's future. Hello! If you're a living person and you're seeing this, then something has gone terribly wrong. This review of Stray is designed specifically to prepare your cats for the coming apocalypse. There's no hope for you, but that fuzzy little idiot that lives in your house rent-free still has a chance. But we're also contractually obligated to make sure that this doubles as a review for humans who are interested in immersing themselves in the sad but adorable world of Stray. So while most of this review will be in English, I would briefly like to address the cats of the world in their native tongue. Meow. 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 The first thing you're likely to notice about Stray is the beautiful, hyper-detailed design of its environments. Or maybe it's the fluidity of the gameplay and the player character's stunningly accurate cat-like movement. Or maybe the first thing you'll do is meow 100 times to unlock a trophy. But the first thing I notice about Stray is that I am clearly not the intended audience. And neither are you. This game is about cats, for cats, and by cats, which doesn't mean it isn't also an enjoyable experience for any human who loves rich, immersive worlds and smooth, relatively simple gameplay, because it definitely is. But if you're looking for proof of who Stray's target audience is, look no further than this footage of how our team members' cats responded to the game. He's enthralled! Look at him! And he's not alone either. There's already an entire Twitter account dedicated to cats watching Stray. But if this review also helps humans decide whether they want to give it a shot, then, well, I guess that's okay too. Published by Annapurna Interactive, Stray has been in the works since 2015, but it was developed by Blue 12 Studio, which was founded by two cats named Riggs and Murda, although they were gracious enough to give their humans Kula and Viv some of the credit. In fact, Murda was also the primary inspiration for the game's play.